go. Hello, everybody. What's going on?
Hello. Hello. Hello.
Say hi to Will in Ohio. Will in Ohio, say hi.
Ooh. Hello, Will in Ohio.
Sorry, we're a little bit late. Actually, we're 20 minutes late. We're more than a little bit late, so I apologize about that.
Technical difficulties.
Technical difficulties. You know, but that's all right. We got it, and it all worked out. So.
Okay. Can I ask you a question, Mike?
Yes, sir.
What? Can you explain what the conundrum is? What is that? I can't remember. Or is it just about anything?
The conundrum is it's all political chat.
Is that what we're in now?
Are you talking about the quagmire?
Oh, quagmire. That's it. All right.
Oh. Yeah, we are the quagmire.
All right, and is that political too, or what?
Yeah or no? I mean, we
usually start out a little political and then it moves to whatever.
And then we move to different. Like last week. You were here last week, weren't you?
Yeah, I'm
man,
I'm everywhere.
Yeah, no, we
no set agenda, in other words.
Yeah or no? I mean, it's we do, and then we get off and we talk about other different things. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Hell, we even talked sports here one night. So,
yeah.
You know,
there you go.
Kind of a broad.
Got the Final Four coming up, right?
Right. It's gonna be beauty.
Mike, you want me to do the rundown real quick?
Yeah, I was just gonna ask you to do that.
Okay. Silver Stacker Kid jumped in and said, just stopping by to say hi. Skywarp 41. Ivan, Itchy Ballsack.
Thanks for coming in, Ivan.
I'm a Redneck Cockerham. Let's see. The Sick Man 99.
Can you turn
Jerry Pruitt?
Can you turn that down just a touch?
Oh, now you were bitching about me being too loud, eh?
You can't win, huh, brother?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm usually bitching that I'm too quiet. Now I'm too loud.
Yeah, boy, that thing's just
okay.
Right on.
Will Hornbuckle is, yeah, well, he's in here too. So.
Thank you.
The Peachy Prepper, Peachy.
Hey, Peachy.
Anybody else? Silver's Hard. Bush Brother says Mikey D. Gear Grinding 19. What's up, my redneck brother?
What's up, Gear? Another redneck.
Hey, Rooster.
Gary Pruitt.
And Silver's, yep, and the Rooster's here. So
welcome, Rooster. Thanks for coming in, everybody.
Sick Man.
420 Homestead. 420 said pig talk tonight.
Yeah,
I hear skin him and
I saw when he rode. I saw when he rode. Go easy. Keep in mind, my brother's a cop.
Yeah, we decided this is not going to be a cop bashing chat.
Right.
It's going to be. We're going to try to maybe talk the good and the bad. Different experiences different people's had, personal experiences, what we've seen maybe in the media lately. Yeah, for the first part or whatever, well, you know, if you have anything to weigh in on, man, if you got a personal story that you're willing to share or anything like that, good or bad.
The only thing I'm going to ask, and Ohio is going to agree with me on this, the only thing I'm going to ask is, I don't want all the negativity. I don't want, cops suck, they all suck a dick, they all should be fucking killed, they all should be this, that, and all another night. Alright, it's just what I don't want. Even if you put LOL after it, even if you put LMAO after it, even if you put ROFLMAO after it, it don't matter. I don't want to hear it. So we're all grown-ass men and women in here, and that's how we're going to stay tonight. All right, on that subject anyways. So I hate to
All right,
say
it's
it.
been a good chat, guys. Thanks for showing up. We'll see you next
Thanks
week.
for showing up. Have a good week. You know? No, but you know what I mean. You can talk passionately about something without.
Yeah, you don't have to. You know, you can even talk negative about something without stepping over the line or going too far. You know.
Exactly.
Let's look at reality here. We're not going to go out and kill some cops or anything like that. You know,
I think
it's not going to happen.
A lot of it has to do with where you live. Honestly, it does. I live in a semi-small city, and there's no crime. It's predominantly white, and pretty much. I mean, there's poor people here, but they don't know what poor is. You know, I've seen poor before, and there's nobody in this town poor. You know,
Right.
so I don't have anything to complain about here. They aren't running around shooting people. They aren't beating people up. You know, most we got to complain about is the speeding ticket. So
Right.
I think a lot of that, you know, if you're in the inner city, you got a different outlook on that stuff, for sure.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
Well, I did a little research. Not, I didn't go in depth. I didn't go to, 10 different sites or anything like that. I went on a couple of sites, and if I knew how to put the crap in the description box, I would have. One was Cop Block. One was another one. I got it all off Google. There's different. On the different sites, they don't have a set number of police officers in the country. One site will say 1.1 million, one site will say 900,000. So we're going to argue, for the sake of argument, for the sake of argument, we're going to just say 1 million. Okay? So if there's 1 million law enforcement officers in this country, and Ohio, what's a decent number?
What, for population of America?
No, I mean, if there's 1 million cops in the country, right? Okay. Out of that 1 million, well, how many do you think are not suited for the job, or not? We'll call them "quote unquote" not good people.
Well, I don't think it's fair to judge it on that big of a number.
Okay. Well, that's how many cops.
I think it'd be easier to go department by department. Let's say you have a department with 3,600 cops. You know, that's kind of a decent. That's a pretty big department.
Yeah,
I think Columbus has like 100. Yeah, but I mean, I think City of Columbus, where I'm at right now, I think they go over like 100,000. I think, something like it. Yeah, it's a pretty large department. The problem is you go 100. Let's just go 36,000. 36,000 police officers to a metropolitan area.
Okay.
Out of that 36,000.
Okay. So
maybe 200 to 300 is probably not really worthy of that job.
Okay.
So that's a small percentage, really, if you think about it. But if you take a department in a small town and say you have 10 officers and 2 of them are corrupt,
you still have 80% good ones. So you still, so you still, so
20% is not a good number,
right? But it's not a good number at all. I just think sometimes somebody actually wrote it in there. I don't know. I don't want to say it wasn't whoever, but I thought it was Bush brother. I could be wrong. Sometimes they get the short end of the stick. Yeah, it was Bush brother, and I think he's right. I think because of, and I'm going to take the whole country. I'm not gonna put it, into one department. So I'm going to take the whole country. All right. So if you take the whole country, and yes, we all see them on YouTube, and this cop did that, and that cop did this, and all that. We all see it. Hey, Dominic, how are you? I'm still on the belief that there was far more good than there is bad. And so I'll take it a step further. We all have our individual jobs, whether we're freaking truck drivers, whether we're friggin' whatever we are. All right. We work with a couple of dickheads here and there, right? I mean, they're out there. You know why they're out there? Because they're human friggin' beings. That's why.
And if you cannot think of one person that you work with that's a dickhead, that means you're the dickhead.
Exactly. All right. Now, I think a lot of not the violent ones, like cops shooting a kid, whatever. But actually that is part of it. But I think a lot of it is training. I don't think they're getting the proper training. I don't think that. I think
they're actually trained to escalate the situation, Mike.
I know. I think that. I think it's attitude, and I think it's attitude. I think that when an officer comes to your window, and he's good evening, good morning, or she, good evening, good morning, yada yada yada. Okay, I've had it both ways. I've had cops say it politely, and I've had cops, I don't know whether they fell out of the bed, landing on their head. I don't know if they didn't get laid the night before, whatever reason, and they come out and they're swearing and da 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 da. So as soon as I see them do that, or hear them do that, I should say, I'm sorry, that sets me off. So, because I'm a firm believer in respect is earned, not given. Okay? So once you earn it, you earned it, and that's fine. And then we can have a conversation. But if you start a conversation by disrespecting me, it's all over from there with me. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know. Like I said, I think that for the most part, I'll take the percentage in the country of good cops. And I live. You guys know I live 30 miles north of a huge fucking. What's Boston have? 850,000 fucking people. So.
You think Boston could survive with no cops?
No.
Really? Self-policing?
No way.
Really?
Self-policing. I'll tell you what. You could self-police. Not here. Not in my state. But there are towns in New Hampshire that I know of, towns in Vermont, towns in Maine that have, actually not even towns, they're plantations, that have, 50 people in it. I'm not even exaggerating. Seriously, there's 50 people in it. There's a town up in New Hampshire, northern New Hampshire, it's Errol, Erroll, Errol, New Hampshire. And I was up there one time, and my wife and I are sitting in a little diner, and there was a town meeting, and the townspeople were all pissed off because the only lone cop in town wanted to get a raise to make $30,000 a year, and the town was in an uproar. So he works 14-hour days, and then the state patrols while he's not working. He's by himself. So up there, it's it's drunk driving. It's the occasional you're a drunk driver or you got a warrant against you. You know what I'm saying? Shit like that. It's not nowhere near what it is close to L.A., Chicago, Boston, Minneapolis. You know what I'm saying here? So.
What about Columbus? Could you self-police that city?
Columbus, Ohio?
Columbus, Ohio. In my opinion, now here's where we're going to go off a little bit here. I am of the opinion that police officers are needed to take reports for insurance claims, possibilities, stuff like that, to solve crimes that's happened, to, you know, go out and arrest the person that committed the crime once they figure out who did the crime, and hold them accountable. But I think police are needed if they're called, like paramedics or fire department. They don't need to be sitting on the side of the road running radar stuff. I just, you know, it's to protect and serve needs to go back to protect and serve, not to collect revenue for local politicians. That's my belief. You know, we had an accident here right in front of our building the other night. We called 911. They showed up. They did their job. They were nice about it. They, you know, were very professional. They helped the people. They cleaned up the mess, wrote their reports, and then they left. Now, what did they do after they left? I don't know. In my opinion, they should go back and sit on station and wait for the next call. You know?
Not many high fives going on in that call.
Right.
What's that?
There's not many high fives going on in that call. You know, after they beat somebody up or something like that, they're always giving high fives.
Right. Well, but the thing is, Mike said you see the videos on YouTube, and that's true. On average, you see 1 or 2 every day. So that means there's 365 incidents a year.
Okay.
That's 100%. That's 100% every day that something bad's going to happen. When you got a video hitting YouTube every day of something bad, either a cop shooting somebody or beating somebody up or slapping them because they didn't allow them to look in their vehicle that was locked. You know, it's the age of the cell phone that has the camera, and you know this has been going on forever. So now it's just kind of coming into the light. More people are seeing. And with the latest one, have you seen the one with he's an off-duty police officer threatened to arrest somebody on a driving offense? The Uber driver, have you seen this guy where he runs his mouth and makes threats and everything? And he's off-duty, you know? And he was the one making an illegal parking maneuver, you know? And the Uber driver honked his horn at him, and he got mad because the Uber driver honked his horn at him because he was doing something illegal, and he gets out and rips the Uber driver's ass. Very unprofessional, you know, and he was an older guy, so he's probably been doing it his whole career because he doesn't know exactly how technology works. He looked right at the camera phone several times. He probably didn't even know he was being filmed.
I watched that.
Because he's got away with it for 40 years.
Yeah, he's just a podcast, man.
I have no problem with. I have no problem with any cop doing a speed trap. I'm going to tell you why. The street I live on has a school on it, and while the kids are at school, the speed limit's 20 because that's what the sign says, and it's flashing. While flashing, speed limit's 20. And I live on a not so wide road. Houses are all close together, and the street's off of it. So it's not a street that you can, speed down, or should you, or want to anyways. So, I've been asking the town if they'll come out and sit out. They can come sit in my fucking driveway. There's lots of reasons for that. My kids ride their bikes out there. There's people that walk their dogs out there. People that just take walks in general. You know, and in today's world, when you get every Tom, Dick, and fucking Harry and Susie and Jane that want to text while they're driving, you know, yeah, I don't have a problem with that. I really don't. If you're in a friggin' 30-mile-an-hour zone and you're doing fucking 70, yeah, you of course you deserve to fucking whatever you get. You know, and I know it's math, so every amount of mile an hour per mile an hour over, or you can be arrested for what is it? Driving to endanger. Too bad that happens. You know, I have no problem with that. I really don't. You're doing 70 and a 30, and I've seen it done, so it's not like it can't be done. I've seen it. Seen it on motorcycles. I've seen it in cars. There is no complaint. If you get pulled over, you're doing 70 and a 30, and you know you were doing it, you got zero right. Zero right to bitch and moan. You just don't. You don't have a right to bitch and moan.
Yeah, how about the guy going 26 in the 25, and he gets a ticket? Does he have a right to bitch and moan?
Absolutely. You know why? Because those, especially if the cop writes down by radar, checked by radar, and when you take that and he says you get 10 days to fight it, those radar guns are 2 miles. They're allotted only 2 miles an hour. Correct, Ohio? Because that's what the magistrate told me when I bought my ticket. So,
yeah, but still, you got to prove yourself innocent for something silly. A mile an hour, or even let's say it was 5 miles an hour over. Who cares? 30 or 25.
Listen, they all have discretion. Okay. Monday morning, I was on my way home. Speed limit is 70 miles an hour on I-71. I was doing 93. And I know I was doing I thought I was doing 94, but he said I was doing 93. Well, I thought I was doing 95, to be honest with you. But I didn't see him. You know, what I was doing is I was coming around a semi-truck, and when I came around that semi-truck to pass, he was sitting in the median, and there he was. State trooper. So he pulls out, and I know he's got me because I'm the only car there besides the semi. So he pulls up behind me, so I start getting over. He lights me up, pull over. He walks up. State of Ohio, you have to identify that if you're concealed carry. That's the first thing you got to identify, or they can charge you with another crime or whatever. So first thing I did was identify that I had a concealed carry permit. He said, "That's fine. Do you have your weapon on you?" I said, "Yes, sir, I do." He said, "Okay, can I see your license?" And I said, "You want my driver's license or my concealed carry license? Because because I've got the gun." He's like, "I just need your driver's license." And he didn't ask for my registration. He didn't ask for my proof of insurance, just my driver's license. He looked at the picture, looked at me, said, "Hang on a minute, I'll be right back." Walked back to his car. I know he called me in to see if I had any outstanding warrants or anything like that. But the minute he ran my tag, he knew stuff about me. So he comes back up, hands me my license, and goes, "I caught you at 93. I said, "Okay." He said, "Here's a warning." He's like, "Just slow down." He's like, "You look like you're on your way to work." I said, "Actually, I'm on my way home from work." He's like, "Well, that's probably why you were going a little fast." He said, "Slow it down, and you have a nice day." I said, "Thank you." Now, that was 23 miles an hour over the speed limit on a freeway. He could have really hit me hard on that. That would have been like a $180 ticket. He let me go. That was his discretion. They always have discretion. So that's probably the one times that I've actually had a good experience with a highway patrolman, because they have a reputation in Ohio. Most highway patrolmen in Ohio will write you for like 2 or 3 over. But he had discretion. And was it because that I was an armed citizen? Who knows? Did he respect the fact that I took responsibility to defend myself?
No, I just think you got a 2A guy that knew what the hell was going on, to be honest with you.
Well, right, possibly, yeah. He might have been a supporter of, gun rights and stuff, and thought, hey, this is an okay guy, a pretty cool guy,
I mean, but that's the whole thing. You just said it. He was a cool guy. You're gonna have, well, especially, I'm not telling you anything you don't know, Ohio. You're gonna have traffic stops where you're gonna have your idiot, and you're gonna have your good guy. Unfortunately, I had my license since what, 1984, January of '84, some shit like that. And I don't have my driving record's about as long as my fucking leg. All right, but I mean, shit. I've had instances where I should have been in jail 3 or 4 times already. You know what I'm saying? Then I've had cops. The cops say shut your car off. I said, if I do that, it's gonna die. Then I'm screwed. He goes, no, you gotta shut it off. I said, all right. So I shut it off and it died. Dude, the guy took off his shirt and everything else. Tried to help me start this car. He's getting just as dirty and greasy as I was. Finally, we got it going. And I was on my way. I mean, so, you're going to have those guys and girls that, hell, I flirted with one here in town, here in my town, and she's like, you got to give me some reason why I shouldn't be giving you a ticket here. You didn't really stop when I was behind you. You took the left. I said, well, I didn't want to get you killed on the street. That's why I took the left. She says, yeah, but you're not supposed to. I said, all right. She says, your inspection sticker isn't any good, yada, yada, yada. And so she asked me again. So she says, so really, just tell me why I shouldn't give you a ticket. I said, well, that's easy. She says, what is it? I said, you're the prettiest friggin' cop I've ever seen in my entire life. You've played the game. So I played the game. I didn't get a ticket. You know what I mean?
So how cute was he?
She was nice looking. She was a blonde. She was beautiful.
Oh. You took her shirt off to help you?
The friggin' diamond on her friggin' finger was bigger than my fucking nose, but,
That's because she's married to the lieutenant who would have took your ass to jail for no reason.
Now I've also had the fact where, I'm in the state of Vermont with my ex-girlfriend now, and, I got to take a leak, so I stop on the side of the highway, I park in the breakdown lane, I put my hazard lights on, I go up this hill about, I don't know, the hill was probably 40 feet or whatever, go into this little patch of woods, take a leak. On my way back down, there's a state trooper behind me. So I get in my car, and he comes back to the car, and I says, hi, can I help you? He says, yeah, everything all right? I says, yeah, everything's fine. I'm like, Carol, did he is this the first time he's been to the car? She says, oh, no. I said, what's up? He said, well, what are you doing? I said, I had to stop to take a leak. He said, oh, good. He's got a license and registration? I says, yeah. So I gave it to him. We went back, checked everything out, come back with a ticket. What am I getting a ticket for? He says, urinating on the highway. I said, yeah, well, I didn't do that. He says, you just told me you did, da-da-da-da-da. Don't give me any shit. I said, do you want to change this ticket? He says, no. That ticket's staying the way it is. I says, good. I says, is Vermont like every other place? You got 10 days to mail it in to fight it in the whole 9 yards. He says, you're going to fight this ticket? I go, yeah. He says, then I'll be there. I says, good. See you then. Have a nice day. Had my day in court. I go to see the magistrate, and the magistrate says to me, she said, I don't understand how we're fighting this ticket, sir. You told him what you were doing. He wrote it up. I says, but he wrote it up. He didn't write it, what I did. He says, what are you referring to? I says, read the ticket. I says, the ticket reads, I urinated on the highway. I says, that's not a truth. She says, it's not. I says, no, I urinated in the goddamn woods off of the highway. I said, it wasn't like I stood on the highway in the breakdown lane and took a piss. I said, I went up a little hill, went into the woods, and I took a leak. And she looked at me and she said, are you kidding me? I says, no. She looked at the cop. She says, is this true? He says, yeah. She says, Mr. DeLucia, have a nice day. I says, you too. See you later. Bye. So you're going to get your dickheads, but
You do that around the school, you end up on a pedophile list.
Well, you do that anywhere nowadays.
They have that lewd and lascivious law now, so it's like, but times have changed, it's like, it sucks, but, they make the rules, I don't,
I had a state trooper pass me. I was going northbound, she was coming southbound. She passed, No, actually, she was in front of me, and
Yeah.
I seen her get. She was going northbound, and she got over to the left-hand lane, and she went over in the median. And then she went south, and then hit the next median, turned around, and came up behind me. And I was doing 85, you know, and I was speeding, but you know, I was going along with the traffic, with the flow. And she caught up with me, turned her lights on. I pulled over. She walks up to the window, and first thing she says was, "Where are you coming from?" And I said, "It's none of your business." And she goes, "Well, where are you going?" I said, "It's none of your business." And she's like, "Smart ass, eh?" And I'm like, "No, but it's none of your business." I was like, "Can I ask why you pulled me over?" And she said, "Well, do you know how fast you were going?" And the first thing out of my mouth was, "Not as fast as you, since you caught up with me." And, you know, she decided she was going to give me a ticket right then and there because of my attitude, which I had an attitude because she came into my car with an attitude. And so she come back, you know, hands me my ticket, and she's like, she asked me another question. I can't remember exactly what it was, but I told her, you know, it was none of her business. And she's like, "Why you got an attitude?" And I was like, I said, "The minute you decided you were going to write me a ticket, the minute I decided I didn't have to be nice to you, you know, because you have discretion." And I said, "To be honest with you," I said, it's kind of BS that you were in front of me, went over into the median, hit the southbound lanes, went down the next turnaround median, turned in there, headed northbound again, caught up with me through traffic, and then pulled me over. All those moves that you did on the highway put more people's lives in danger than what I was doing. But yet, I'm the one getting in trouble. So, give me my ticket and I'll be on my way. And that was a $160, $180 ticket. So, you know, it all comes down to discretion. But it's not always about traffic tickets either. They have discretion on other things.
Yep.
You know, they can go to a domestic violence call and have discretion, but they don't. If you get called to domestic, their outlook is someone's going to jail no matter what.
Well,
Whether or not they can prove that someone's actually been hit or scratched, or if it was just, I mean, if it's just an argument. If you and your wife were arguing over the checkbook because you wrote a check and forgot to tell her, and she wrote a check, and next thing you know, you guys bounced a check because you wrote a check, and you guys are arguing, and the neighbors called 911 and said they're arguing,
yeah.
one of your asses is going to jail that night, even though you didn't touch each other.
But not every
Preach it,
time.
brother. Preach.
Ohio, not every time, because it's actually happened to me. We were both hammered. I was arguing with my girlfriend at the time, and the neighbor called. It was summertime, windows were open, and the cops came, and they're like, I'm like, "Hey, what's up? Can I help you?" And he says, "Yeah, we got a call that there was a disturbance." I goes, "Where?" He goes, "Well, we got a call that, you know, there's an argument here." So, "Of course there's an argument here. We're having an argument." I said, "Am I in my own house?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Am I allowed to argue in my own house?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "So what are you guys doing here?" He said, "Well, we got a call, and we have to respond to every call." I said, "All right, have a good night." He said, "Well, here's what I have to do. Because I came here and because you guys were arguing, I have to have you fill out this little card." I says, "Why?" I says, "There's no need for me to fill out that card." Your volume's already down, brother.
Well, they're saying that I'm loud. Can't have it both ways, people.
Last week they said you were too quiet. Now they're saying you're too loud. So there's a happy medium somewhere, and they'll find it. So, you know, she looked at me. I looked at her. I go, "What do you want to do? Do you want me to sign this card? Do you want to, you know, you're going to sign this card? What do you want to do?" I mean, like I said, we were both hammered. So we both signed it. Yeah, here. Goodbye. Have a good night. So not all the time. I do agree with you. If, like, you know, he walked in and I got a fucking, you know, I got a dinger under my eye because she slapped me or whatever the case may have been. Yeah, one of us would have went, but not all the time. And I
My
think,
point is, what are they doing at your house anyway if you're just having a verbal argument? It's none of their business what goes on in your household.
exactly. But here's the thing, though. How I was told is that anytime they get a call, and again, I'm sorry, this gets back to training too, okay? But anytime they get a call, they have to answer that call and go. They cannot not answer a call, because you know as well as I do. You know as well as I do. The first fucking time a cop gets a call and doesn't answer that fucking call, they'll be, all the people that hate the cops to begin with will be all over their ass all over again. You know what I mean? Oh, you didn't answer the call. All right. They got to answer the fucking calls.
Yeah, so, but knock, knock. You open the door.
Yep.
Such and such police department. We were called out for disturbance. No disturbance here, officer. Me and my wife are in an argument over a checkbook, bounce check, financial stuff, and we raised our voice a little bit. Okay. That's it. We came, we showed up, we found out what happened, and then we're on our way. No need to walk in and look around your house and question everybody.
Let me interrupt you for a second. Please send Scott an invite.
If you give me powers to do that, I will.
Scott,
he fucking drops out.
Kevin College?
Yeah.
I'll send him one.
There's Chuck. Hey, Chuck. Hey, we got to do a shout out to NT Digger too. That's the name of this chat. So, just in case he's watching. So, hope you get better, Tom.
Victimless crimes.
I hope he's not out in the yard, trying to recover and get a beat down from the cops on his, kidney stones or whatever.
They're what are those nightsticks? They're jabbing him right in the stones.
The old PR-24s.
Yeah,
public relation 24-inch stick.
Now they don't use guns in Britain, right? The cops don't. Don't they just have billy clubs and that's it?
Oh, it depends. When I was the jail deputy, all I carried was a can of mace and some handcuffs. So inside, no. There's, a lot of them don't even. Some of them are carrying tasers, but that's about as far as you go. Like a supermax prison, they have the guards up in certain areas that are armed, and then on the outside walls and stuff. But
no, I said in Britain, not in prison.
Oh, Britain! I thought you said prison.
Oh.
No, I guess Britain does carry. Britain police do carry firearms at certain points, I think. I know at one time they didn't.
Yeah, I thought they didn't. I could be wrong, though.
But I think they do now.
Out of the UK. All the videos I'm seeing coming out of the UK, they're all carrying guns. So.
Are they?
Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't used to, but I think they are now.
So, how long does Mike have to get back in here before this thing shuts down?
Just a few minutes.
It's open now. I mean, it won't shut down until we all leave.
No.
It'll go off air.
It'll go off air if he doesn't get back.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, how's come our chats always stay open? Like when Superman goes to bed early.
Well, we can stay in it all night, but it will go. It won't go live off of YouTube. I mean, the YouTube video will shut off.
Oh, okay. I see.
Well, howdy, Scott.
Somebody send Mike a link, quick.
What's up, Danny? UK has 2 different cops. Good cops, bad cops.
Oh shit, he really
Mike's
does.
asking for a link out in the chat.
Yeah, he really does.
Okay. I want to see. You got it? Do you got it, Hayden?
Yeah.
Send it on Facebook, quick.
What's up, Tolly?
Not much. Having a snack.
All right, got him in link.
I'll send another one to
Yeah.
his
Yeah.
YouTube just in case.
Look at Justin, man, just talking smack out there in the comments. In here, look at he's shy and timid. Like,
Oh no, not at all. I just haven't heard anything I need to object to yet.
funny guy.
Give me something I can object to, and I'll be all over it.
He's just waiting, man. He's like on the edge of his seat, ready to pounce, man.
Hey, look at that.
I didn't want the chat to go off. If I
Yeah.
spent too much time out of the chat would have went off. Would have fucking start all over again. I don't know what the hell happened there.
Can you, do you mind if Chuck gets a link? He's asking for one.
Who?
Navigating Nature.
Navigating Nature.
Oh, of course he can. Send him a link.
Oh yeah, brother Chuck.
All right, Justin.
I feel like I've been doing this too much. I just did this whole conversation with somebody. I think it was on the Informed State of Mind after chat on Sunday night.
Oh, really?
You know, pretty late. I forget who all was in there, but we had a guy come in there, never been on a hangout before, but he was thinking about becoming a sheriff. And I'm going to tell him, or I told him some of the same things I'm going to tell you guys. You know, 65% of the people in prison are there for completely victimless crimes. I know Jack likes to make fun of me and say, you know, victimless crime and call me that or whatever, but that's the truth. 65% of people in prison are there for harming nobody. 10% are there for actual violent crimes. 15% are there for property crimes, and the other 65% are there for victimless crimes. They haven't harmed anybody, and yet they're locked up in a fucking cage like a goddamn animal because you have these fucking pigs out there arresting them when they're harming nobody. So 65% of your job as a cop is to fuck with innocent people.
What exactly? Let me play stupid here for a half a second. What exactly is a victimless crime?
You haven't harmed anybody, and you haven't harmed anybody's property. There is no victim in court. You know how you have the right to. You know how you have the right to face your accuser in court.
Yeah.
You have the right to the victim to testify against you.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, that 65%, there's no victim to testify against you.
Then okay. So in other words, on the risk of sounding like a total wise ass, right? Some cop arrested me because he wanted to. I didn't do anything. And some jury of peers of mine put me in jail for something I didn't do, and the judge allowed it.
Well, not that you didn't do it. It's just that there's no victim, right?
Well, how can it be a crime? I mean, if I break into your house, right?
That would be under that 15% that are in there for property crime.
All right, so
He's talking about like smoking weed, man. Smoking
All
weed.
right, so smoking weed.
I'm talking
Right.
about
If I sell you
put in jail for unpaid tickets or anything like that.
taxes and all that. Okay, yeah, I'm with you on that.
Taxes. all
However, when you want to get into the, recreational drugs, somebody wants to say that cocaine's a victimless crime. Well, that's just retarded. Okay, because we all know.
Why? Why is it retarded? Do you have the right to tell me what I can and can't do with my own body?
Oh no!
What gives you that right to tell me what I can and can't?
You can do as you wish. You can do it. Well, because number one, the country.
I can do as I wish, but you're gonna fucking lock me in a cage.
Oh no!
And make me a slave?
Hey, anybody, you can do. Listen, you can do anything you want to do. You just have to. Like I tell my kids, you do what you want to do. You just suffer consequences if you get fucking caught. Okay.
I mean, that's complete bullshit. Oh, I can do what I want to do as long as I don't get caught. That's fucked up.
Why?
So why is it fucked up? Because you're fucking locking people in cages and making them slaves. All right, I didn't cover the slavery part, but
making them slaves.
Are U.S. prison systems?
So the guys that selling coke from the
number one exporter in the United States.
Hang on.
Are
The guys
U.S. prison
that
systems?
the guys that The guys that have the coke business down in Bolivia, right? The cartels, those are great people to deal with, right? They're awesome people. There's no victims down there. You're right. They don't chop people's tongues out and all that shit. They don't do none of that shit. So all the people they hurt and kill just so they can get their cocaine into all the countries that they send it to, but there's no victims yet because those people don't count, right?
Well, hey, guess what, Mike?
There's
They
no victim
wouldn't
there.
be fucking chopping people's tongues out, and there wouldn't be cartels if that shit was legal. If you weren't
Don't
locking
tell me
the
it's not a
user-
victimless crime
Mike,
if people are getting killed.
am I killing somebody when I fucking put some coke up my
Maybe
nose?
not, but the drugs you're buying, but let's say you were buying it, right? The drugs that you're buying are supporting those people kill more people. You know what I'm saying?
All right, so because you pay taxes,
If the drug was legal to begin with, there would be no dealer and cartels and stuff like that.
I'm not talking about weed, by the way, guys. So I'm not.
that's exactly my point.
But
Well, I mean, you might as well be talking about weed because the cartels bring weed in too.
different.
Yeah, I mean, you might as well. Your argument works for weed just the same as it does for coke. So if you're going to say, "Oh, weed's okay," you shouldn't be locked up for that.
It works for
But,
guns.
you know-
It works for bananas. You know, they're a banana cartel down there, and they will fucking kill you if you don't fucking buy their bananas. That's the way it works down there. Use that argument for anything.
Well, I'm just saying that for weed, no. Okay.
The only reason there's violence in that industry is because it's illegal. Is there fucking violence in the pharmaceutical drug industry? I mean, besides the fact that we go to fucking war in Afghanistan to control the opium fields.
Yeah.
But, besides that, is there any fucking violence in that industry? No, there's not.
No, just
The
white
people, Mike, it's the people like you who don't want those things legal that are responsible for the murders that go on down there. It's not the user.
No.
It's the people who support the prohibition who are responsible for the murder. It's not the fucking user.
I have no issues with if they wanna legalize weed. I don't. Okay.
All right, but yeah, I mean, you brought up coke and heroin,
but you
right?
know what? But you know
brought
what?
up coke, so let's use that.
Right.
Don't, you
But
don't
you know what?
get
I
to
don't want
fucking
coke legalized.
change the
I don't want
argument
heroin
to-
legalized. I don't
So
want
you
coke.
support the murder in South America then, because you don't want it legalized?
No, I don't support the murders in South
Yes, you
America.
do.
I don't do fucking coke.
That's the direct result of you wanting it to be illegal.
No. You got that all ass
The result
backwards.
of the fucking war on drugs is fucking cartels murdering people in South America.
So
That's
by
the
me
result
not,
of it.
let me get
so
this
you
straight.
support murder.
Let me get this. This is kind of funny. Let me get this fucking straight. By me not doing coke, right? By me not doing it, right? I'm supporting murders.
By you wanting it to be illegal. I don't care if you do it or not. By you wanting it to be illegal, you support
Okay.
murder.
How am I supporting murder by me not wanting?
Because those murders would not be happening if it was legal. How many
Yeah,
people murder each other in legal
I
industry?
don't think that's the case.
Are there fucking
Hang
are there
on.
tobacco companies
Justin,
murdering
hang
each
on,
other?
Justin, hang
Are
on
there
one sec.
tobacco companies murdering each other?
Justin,
Even in states where the cannabis is
Justin.
legal. Are there
Justin.
murders going on in Colorado right now?
Justin, hang on, time out. Scott, what?
I don't think that's the case at all. I think if it was legal, if the coke and the heroin and all that stuff was legal, you would have even more fights, more gang violence, and more of everything else going on, because they would bring in competition. Who's going to sell the stuff? Not to mention that the
government.
coke and the heroin and all that stuff has been proven to kill people.
And people sell alcohol right in the store, man. It eliminates all the dealers, all the competition,
Well.
everything.
Right, and alcohol kills just as many people as cocaine and heroin.
Alcohol kills
And I
most
think
people.
alcohol should be regulated more, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
But-
alcohol is the only drug you can die from withdrawals from. If you're going through alcohol withdrawals, it's the
Not
only
true.
drug you can die.
Exactly.
Not
So
true.
It is true.
I know people that have died
Take
from
alcohol
heroin
for-
withdrawal.
Take
so
alcohol
no, it's
for
not true.
example. Take
No,
alcohol
they did not
for
die
example.
from heroin withdrawals.
Jesus Christ.
They died from other symptoms from heroin, but they did not die from heroin withdrawals.
Chuck, go ahead. Who
The
was just talking?
symptoms
Chuck?
were induced by the heroin.
All right, so take alcohol for example, since it was brought up. Was there more violence in the alcohol industry during Prohibition or during legal times?
Hang on. I'm going to answer that with a wise ass answer. You ready? Okay. I used to go to bars on Friday and Saturday nights, and there was fucking fist fights every Friday and Saturday night. And guess what? Those were booze induced. Do those count as violence? Because they're drunk?
No, you're missing the point, though. Many people died because they had to bootleg it and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
I said a wise ass answer.
I mean, if we want to just be smartasses the whole night, this is a fucking serious conversation. People are being locked in fucking cages over it. I mean, we can all fucking laugh and have a good time, but you're fucking ruining people's lives by locking them in cages.
And there's other victimless crimes besides drug crimes.
Such as?
This is true.
And
Well,
there's
drug
other
crimes aren't necessarily victimless, are they?
Such as driving without an operator's license.
Right. I'm with you.
Exactly.
That's a jailable offense in all 50 states.
That's a discretionary.
I know. I've been
But
there
the
for
thing
that.
is, I can drive drunk, legally impaired,
Yep.
and I risk the chance of getting 3 days in jail. If I drive without a license, sober, I risk the chance of getting 60 days in jail. Tell me, why the fuck does that make sense? Because it's all about money. All about money.
That's a state rule. Because I've been caught 5 times without a fucking driver's license. Okay? And I didn't even get written a ticket.
You dick.
It's not that I knew the cop either.
Well, that's where discretion comes into play. But if you were written a ticket, I mean, I can tell you, here in Arizona, you're facing up to a 6 months in jail for driving without a license.
Only if only if it was after a revocation of a DUI or a drug charge.
No, that's not the case at all. No,
Well,
you're
here
wrong.
in Mass, I mean, here in Mass, I know I can lose my. Go ahead, Scott.
I went to jail for driving without a license. Sat for 90 days. So
Exactly.
you can't tell me you don't go to jail for driving without a license.
Oh, I got hit 5 times.
Just-
I never went
Just
to.
another example of somebody who never should have been behind a fucking cage. There's someone who never should have been in a fucking cage.
Why?
And guess who put you there? A fucking cop. I mean, that's the topic of tonight's discussion is cops.
Yeah.
Who fucking put you in a cage? A fucking cop put you in a cage and you harmed nobody.
But at the time,
I deserved it.
right? No, I
was
wasn't gonna.
breaking the
I'm
law.
not pink. Scott, I am not.
Breaking the law.
And that just shows the mentality of a fucking someone who's fucking subjected to fucking tyranny. Oh, you deserved it. Oh, bow down to your fucking masters. All hail government. I fucking deserved it. I was a bad boy.
Whoa,
No,
I
dude.
deserve a
You
fucking
were on
spanking
way
from
the
the
wrong
government.
track, and I really take offense to that, dude. No, I am not like that at all.
Justin,
not one bit.
Tread
But I
it.
knew that
Well,
I
you
broke the law.
deserve to be locked in a cage after harming nobody.
Yeah, well, guess what? I didn't harm anybody, but I broke
Justin.
the law.
Justin, you ready? You ready? I'm gonna break it down. Okay. I have 3 kids: a 17-year-old, an 8-year-old, and a 10-year-old. Okay. You ready? We all call it Dad's Law. They know Dad's Law. Okay. They know if they don't do something, they get in trouble for it. Why? Because there's rules, right? Right? So, therefore, what you're saying is no such thing as rules. You don't need rules. You don't need regulations. You don't need laws. So,
That's what he's saying, exactly.
so
That's
because
exactly what Justin's saying.
No, I'm
here's
saying
the
that the
problem.
government...
Justin, hang on. Justin, let me finish.
My God,
Justin,
the
let me
government
finish.
I
I
fucking
happen
bending
to
me over
agree.
its knee and
Justin,
fucking spanking my ass,
Justin,
throwing me in
don't
my
make me
bedroom
mute you.
for a
This is
timeout.
why. Justin, don't make me mute you. Okay? This is what I'm trying to explain to you. While I agree with you that driving without a license is a victimless crime, okay? And it sucks that Scott had to do that, okay? Here's the thing. It was a law, and Scott just told you, it was a law. He broke the law. He paid the price for it. Now, if we think that's a victimless crime and it's stupid, what we do in this country is we fight to change that fucking law.
Yeah,
Okay?
because voting and asking our politicians
Well,
to
how are
do
you going to
things works,
change it?
right?
You think they're going to change it? You think they're going to say, you know,
the fact that most of those laws aren't even voted on by the people. Those fucking laws of the road are not voted on. You think people got together and voted to make the fucking speed limit 75 miles an hour? Those are things that pass from the top down.
I am right
Those
now.
laws were created.
I'm in the process right
Those
now.
laws were created, Mike.
What?
So those laws were created by municipalities,
Yeah, I know.
city councils, to bring revenue to the local villages and cities.
Okay, but hey,
You know?
Through elected officials.
I'm in the midst right now of changing the speed limit on my street. I went down to the police station. I don't like the speed limit on my street at 30 miles an hour because why? 30 means 40. So I said to them, how do I go about changing it? He says, you got to go through the state, but if you go to the town hall, they'll give you all the forms, and you have to send it into the state. The state actually makes the speeding laws. We don't. These speed limit laws, we don't. Go through the state, but we'll give you the forms to do that. But you have to have this. I said, okay. So I'm in the process of doing that. So guess what? Yeah, you do have a say. Okay. I mean, but my point
We elect
is,
all the people that are in our government. We elect them.
right?
Granted, the system is flawed big time, but we elect them.
We didn't elect shit. You might have. I didn't elect anybody. You voted for a master and you got it.
And that's
No,
why
but
I vote.
you can vote. Nobody's stopping you from voting and sharing your opinions, right? I mean, unless there's some legal reason that you can't vote, you can share that opinion. And you can go to the rallies and you can do all that stuff to try to make a difference.
Yep.
Nobody's saying you got to sit on your couch, sit at your little shack, and do nothing about it. You can do something about it. You just have to make up your mind to do that.
Really changes something, but I mean that's besides the point. I mean, if people voting made a difference, you think that Congress would have a 10% approval rating? We do not like what our officials are doing, and yet they still do it. We do not support what they're doing, yet they still do it. So to say that I have a fucking say in it is ridiculous.
You do.
You do, though, Justin. We all do, not just you, me, everybody here.
You vote?
Then why is Congress's support only at 10%? Why do they only have 10% support if people like what they're doing?
Because
do you take the time to vote, Justin? Do you take that time to go and vote for your officials?
No. Yeah, I wouldn't fucking get on my knees and ask for liberty.
Okay, then you ain't got shit to say, as far as I'm concerned. Because if you don't want to take that
because
little
voting's
bit
the
of
only
time,
way you can change something? Like, why are we so trapped in such a fucking narrow mindset that voting, put in a fucking, punching a fucking hole in a piece of paper is the only way that you can have your fucking liberty? It's complete bullshit. That's the fucking mentality of a
how else do you want? How do you want your liberty? I think we have the technology that every vote should count. I completely think that. I don't think there should be any freaking electoral college or nothing.
Neither do I.
Voting is nothing more than fucking two wolves and a sheep deciding what's for dinner. It doesn't mean shit as long as someone wants to fucking take from you.
So nobody wants to take anything from you?
Yeah, people want to take from me all the time. What do you think fucking taxes are?
So what do you do about it? Yeah.
I don't comply.
What do you do about it?
I don't comply with it.
So you don't pay any taxes? You
No.
don't pay taxes?
Nope.
Does your wife pay taxes?
Yeah, she
How's
does.
she getting away with that?
How's she getting away with what? I said yes, she does.
How is she not paying taxes?
No, she is paying taxes, Scott.
Oh. So
she's not quite as radical.
that's a little bit of oh.
So that must be a friggin'
I like that.
Huh, brother?
No, we get along. We balance each other out.
No, I'm just saying. I'm not saying you don't get along. I'm just saying.
Justin's doing something. He's talking to you guys and trying to convince you of something.
Absolutely. No, I'm not. I've been on not on the. I have been on the panel with Justin in discussions like this, and I've watched Justin on panels, and it's not. I know exactly where Justin stands on a lot of things. I have no issues on.
It's like a green grass movement. I mean, there's nothing more
He
powerful
can
than that.
listen, and this is what I love about. I'm sorry, Will. Go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead, Will.
I just said it was like a green grass movement, and there's nothing more powerful than that.
Grassroots,
Right.
I think, is what you're
Yeah,
thinking about.
grassroots.
Yeah,
Yes,
exactly.
I hear you. And,
I totally respect Justin's position. Don't get me wrong.
right.
I totally respect his position, just like I do Ohio's or Mike's or anybody else's. I just don't happen to agree with it completely. I do agree with a lot of the things he's got to say, but I think if we had a society without law, it would be
Who
total
said
anarchy.
anything
and we'd be
about without
total
law?
disarray.
Who said anything about without law?
Well, but
I never
it
said
started
anything
there.
about without law.
He said victimless crimes. There's a difference.
Victimless crimes, and that I went to jail for driving without a freaking license. Well, it was a law because
Yeah,
that's what it was.
There's a
I
difference.
broke it.
Wouldn't have went to jail? Would that have made the world better? But because we put you in jail, did that make the world better?
Hell to
I never
no.
did it again.
Did that make
never did it again.
either way? If you did it again or not, is a moot point. Did it make the world better that you were in jail? Did it help
Made
anything?
my world better because I
Did it help
didn't do it
anything?
again.
Did it help anything?
It helped me.
How did it help
Yeah,
you?
it helped me not to do it again.
Well, helped you get a
I
license.
didn't do it again. I got my license.
So the government should be in
Hey,
the job of regulating
year
arbitrary
without it.
behavior. The government should be in the job of locking people up
Yeah.
for harming nobody just to regulate their behavior.
All right,
That's what you're
so
saying?
so let me ask you this. Let me go. I'm not asking. I'm not being a wise
No,
ass either.
I'm not saying that at all.
I got caught for a DUI. Okay. I didn't cause an accident. I didn't get I didn't hurt myself or anybody else, anybody's property.
Right.
I wasn't speeding. I didn't run any red lights. I wasn't swerving all over the place. Okay. And I got caught for a DUI. Victimless, right? Because there wasn't
Right.
anybody involved.
No,
Exactly.
no.
Right.
That's
Hang
not.
on. Hang
It
on.
was potential, though.
Scott, I'm with you. I'm going to get there.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
am
sorry.
I on the understanding that it was only a victimless crime because I didn't do all that? No. So, are you telling me that there was no potential for me to hurt anybody's
Yeah,
property?
you got that argument way wrong there because there's
Why?
50,000 people that die every year from being killed by drunk drivers, and there's 0 people killed by people driven with no license. All right, that's not even a conversation.
I wouldn't say
Exactly.
so.
Well, if I get a minute to respond,
Go ahead.
if I can have a minute to respond.
Justin, go ahead.
All right, Mike, what you're doing, the equivalency of what you're doing by driving around drunk is you were drunk, having a fucking pistol in your hand, waving it around, pointing at people, right? I mean, that's a pretty fair
That's how
comparison.
people look at it, yeah. That's how people look at it.
Exactly. And though you have not committed a crime, everyone around you has every right to stop you from doing that in the moment. But do they have the right to fucking lock you in a cage? No.
Well, here's the thing, though.
They have the right to. They have the right to stop you from doing that in a moment. Just like I have the right to fucking stop somebody when they're waving a fucking pistol around in a fucking crowded building, right? We have the right to stop them, but do we have the right to fucking lock him in a cage, be his daddy, send him to timeout, make him fucking be a slave for the fucking prison system, the industry that comes out of the prison system? No.
Well, but Justin, because it's a law, okay, and the exact same thing Scott just said. Guess what? I haven't done it since. Now,
Yep.
if it wasn't law, here's what I know for a fact. If it wasn't law and you could do all that shit, right? All right. I would probably still be drinking. All
right. Well, I mean, that just means you're a bad person and you don't fucking care about other people. I mean, just locking people in cages doesn't give them empathy. It doesn't make them care about other people.
But they only get locked in the
it's a
cage for
punishment.
3 hours.
Sure, it's a punishment. Well, I mean, here we have mandatory sentencing. You have to do at least a week.
See, here it's 4 hours.
But-
It's a 4 hour lockup. It's a 4 hour lockup, and then somebody comes and picks you up.
Yeah, ours is overnight on a
And then you get a
DUI.
court date 30 days later.
Right, but I still get my
Right.
license for 15 days, right? And then like I could have.
So what they do is they give you another opportunity to go out and do it again, so they can charge you again to get more
Right.
money off of you the next time.
That's
Dude, you forget. I was a booking officer in a county jail. I know exactly how that system
I don't
works.
forget anything, but I'm
You
just
know?
saying that.
And then you get recommitments. That way you can let them back out. You know, you give somebody a 30-day sentence. They do 4 days in jail. Then the judge gives them a recommitment to come back later. And guess what? They get in trouble for the same fucking thing again. So now they're going to do 60 days in jail.
Well, my
And their
judge.
fine goes from $1,000 to $1,500 to $2,000 to $3,000. All
Well,
about the money, man.
my judge.
I mean,
My judge actually.
if locking people in jail actually fucking worked, would we have the recidivism rate that we do? Locking people in fucking cages does not work. Just look at the recidivism rate.
But the recidivism.
Most people go back and do even worse crimes. You get locked in fucking prison for a year for carrying some goddamn pot across the state line. Well, you know what? Next time you get fucking locked up, it's probably going to be for a violent crime because prison doesn't make people better. You might have that exception to the rule, like Scott here. Yeah, sure, he did 90 days and it, supposedly taught him not to do it again. But prison does not make people fucking better. It just doesn't, and the numbers prove that. So that argument is invalid.
Well, the judge I had, okay, was handing out mandatory sentences for DUIs all morning long. I was the second to the last guy, and I didn't have a lawyer, and I waived counsel, and he says, he's trying to. He didn't come out and say it because obviously he can't, okay, but I mean I already knew that I could have went and got a 2-year college grad that just got out as a lawyer and beat it. I wasn't on a flat surface. I did the toe to toe on an incline on an off ramp that was turning. I mean I could have won right off the bat. Okay, but my personal thing was that the reason why I gave in was because of a different story. Okay, so he's handing out maximum sentences and maximum fines for first-time offenders. And so he said to me, he says, "Is there any particular reason why you don't want counsel?" I says, "Yeah, because I'm all done, and I want to do this today, and get it over with. That way, there, I figure." But if we do it today, I can get my license back by the end of the summer, because this is in fucking May. Okay, I said I can get my license back by the end of the summer, and I'll be all right. I won't have to walk in the cold. So all he gave me was 45 days loss of license, and he took $400 off of the $800 that they wrote me up in fines. So you know what? I think I lucked out. You know what I'm saying? Because it would have cost me to beat it. Could I have beaten it? Absolutely. But you guess what? At what price though? So it cost me $400 in fines and 45-day loss of license. If I fight it in court, what happens? I got to go back again. Okay. Number one, actually probably twice, right? Number two. Now I'm still paying some idiot, because every time they say we'll appoint you a lawyer, every time they say they're going to appoint me a lawyer, and it doesn't cost you, and they're full of shit, it always costs me money. Okay.
Yeah,
So,
and it should. Yeah.
So well, then don't tell me one will be appointed to you. Appointment means to me free. Doesn't mean you pay. So
No, appointment means they'll sign one. Appointed to you for free means they'll give it to you for free.
If you can.
Let me address something real quick in the chat. Big Lock Daddy says, so a drunk that hits and kills a fucking child drunk, he shouldn't be locked in a cage. What's his punishment? No. When you kill a child, you committed a crime. Therefore, you
7 years.
have committed a crime.
7 years.
You have a victim now.
You have a victim.
I mean, the only way you can kind of make me sound bad is by twisting my fucking words, just like someone else did out there.
But
I totally get where you're coming from, Justin.
But that's the potential of what happens when you drive drunk.
Yeah. No, you got to. I mean, with a,
yeah, that has the potential to happen if you wave a fucking loaded handgun around in a crowded space.
Yeah.
So yeah, you
right.
have every
That's
right
why
to stop
that's
those
illegal.
people.
And that's why you can't do
Do
that.
we have the right to stop those people? Do we
That's
have
why
the
you
right
can't
to lock them in cages? No.
But that's how you stop.
If the gun goes off and it kills someone, then there's the right to lock him in a cage because they have a victim now.
Exactly.
You got dangerous people. You got to keep them away from society. There's no doubt. No matter what the crime, if it's bad, if it's harmful to somebody else, you got to protect people, right? But if it's a victimless crime, that's totally different. So yeah, I think Glock has just missed the victimless part.
The threat of being locked in a cage does not stop criminals that want to fucking harm people. It doesn't. I mean, we have a whole fucking prison system full of them. The threat of being locked in a cage does not stop people.
Yeah.
Just like the threat of passing more gun laws doesn't stop criminals from carrying guns.
Exactly.
True.
Yeah.
True. But again, you, Justin, me, anybody else that owns a gun on this panel, and anybody else that owns a gun out in the chat room, right? All right, let's be serious about this for half a second. Are any of us stupid enough to walk out on the street of a crowded people and just, start waving a gun around without a justified cause to do it?
Well, there's certainly mental illness issues in
I get all that. Will, that's not what I'm talking about. Not what I'm talking about.
Of course we would.
Would it be right
Okay,
for
of
me
course
to
we
walk
would.
down
Why?
the street?
Because we're responsible gun owners. So
exactly.
So if you see somebody doing it, there's a law. Don't quote me on the law, but I know in my state there's a law, something about brandishing a firearm without justification, whatever the hell it's called.
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
And that's a law that you can't just go out in the middle of a freaking street and fucking you just can't do that.
But it's just like pulling your pecker out in the middle of town too, though.
Yeah,
right.
Well, if someone wants to go wave a gun around in the street, are they thinking,
That's illegal.
No, I'm not going to do that because I might get put in jail? No, that's not what they're fucking thinking.
I'm not going to do that because I might get put in jail.
Exactly.
Oh, come on, Scott. Come on,
What?
Scott.
So why aren't you going to do
If there wasn't the threat of prison, you'd go to fucking Walmart right now and wave your gun around in the air.
No.
I'm
Well, that's
responsible.
what you just said. That's what you just said. You said that you would go wave your gun around.
No.
Yeah.
So would you or would you?
I must have missed something there. Sorry.
You're a better person than that. So I mean, you could. In other words, he's saying you'll comply to certain laws, not just because they're laws, just because you're a good person.
Right.
Exactly. And you don't drive drunk going down the fucking road because you don't want to harm other people and you don't want to harm yourself.
Now, in saying that, people make dumb decisions being drunk because they're mentally impaired by the alcohol. So
Right.
people are going to do stupid things when they're drunk, and that's why I can't believe fucking alcohol is legal and weed is not. Because
I can't believe it either.
People do the. I mean, once your mind's impaired on alcohol, God knows. I mean, it's unbelievable. The amount of deaths alone from alcohol is just unbelievable. So,
Right.
I mean, I don't drink
My
much.
brother
I
was
do
still-
that by choice, not because somebody
so
told me.
I mean, I understand. I quit drinking because my brother was killed by a drunk driver. But I used to drink and drive. I got 3 drunk drivings, and the law never stopped me. Jail never stopped me, man. I just kept on doing it.
Really?
It took my brother.
I got one, and I didn't drink and drive anymore.
Yeah.
I got one. I never
No.
picked up a beer anymore, let alone drink and drive anymore.
Yeah.
Mm.
And now, I have a commercial driver's license, so
Right.
.04 doesn't really thrill me.
.04. And you know what's funny? You know what's funny about that is my wife's a nurse, and
Yeah.
if she blows a .04, she loses her nurse's license.
Yep.
See, that's not fair though, because if a construction worker blows a .04, He doesn't lose his fucking job.
This construction worker ain't gonna save your life either.
How you know that? He might know the Heimlich, and I'm choking on a fucking hot dog.
All right. Now you're
You know what I'm saying?
don't split a hair with me here. Okay, how many more nurses? How many people help out more, nurses or truck drivers? Nurses.
Truck drivers.
Oh, come on.
Truck drivers, man.
You know what I
If
was
it wasn't truck drivers and nurses wouldn't have the supplies at the hospital to help the patient.
Exactly.
And
Truckers,
Someone out in the chat
know.
was asking, so what's the solution? All right, so I mean, like we had enough argument on this. So what's the solution? Well, the solution is you don't fucking have 65% of your prison population there for victimless crimes, so that when a crime actually does happen, prosecute it. That's the solution.
yeah. You have
So by
room.
locking people up,
you have
for
room
doing
in your
coke,
prison.
locking people up for fucking crossing state lines with fucking weed, that you don't do that so that you have the resources there to lock people up when they actually fucking have a victim. You know, we have the right. I mean, to be fucking locked up for a victimless crime just completely throws out the whole fucking all the laws that regard due process. You have the right to face your accuser. You have the right to fucking face your victim in court. I'm sorry, but if a victim can't be produced, then they can't fucking lock you up for shit. I'm sorry, and maybe if you are against due process, then fine, go throw due process out the window. But I don't think any of us are actually against that.
I mean, the United
Okay,
States.
but how far back do you want to go with the victims?
United
If I
States.
go, if I go shoot somebody right now, who's the victim? The dude that I shot sure as hell ain't gonna come and accuse me of anything. But his family sure is. Do they count as victims? From what you're saying, it doesn't sound like they do.
Yeah, you did. You just stole the fucking lifeblood from that family. You stole that little girl's father. You stole all the education that he's going to give her. So yeah, you fucking victimized that family by killing the father.
Exactly.
Right. I will agree.
And if we are gonna have a prison system that makes slaves out of people, because I mean that's just a fact. The prison system is a number one.
What's your definition of slavery? The inmates in a prison get paid for doing a job.
What do they
That's
get
not
paid
slavery.
minimum wage? No, they get paid pennies.
Nope.
The prison system profits on it.
They get paid.
The
They get-
prison
Yeah,
system
they get paid.
profits off of them
One at
being
a
forced
time.
to be there. Okay, slaves were compensated too. Slaves were given meals too. They were fucking, you know. All right, so it's not about how much they're compensated. It's about them being forced to be there. All right, that makes slavery.
But
So-
they committed a crime though. They committed a crime that they knew would land them in jail, and they just got caught doing it. They didn't think they would, but they got caught.
They didn't commit a crime though. 65% of them, by the definition of crime, there has to be a victim. Look up the fucking definition. 65% of them are there for not committing any crime because there was no victim. All right. So, all right. So let me just finish this thought. So, we want those resources to be put towards people who are actually harming people, towards the actual bad people, not the Scots, not the fucking Mikes. We want them to be put towards the murderers, right? And so what do we have right now? We have a prison system that's profiting off of this slave labor. I would rather see that if you actually do kill a little girl's daddy, if you do kill a wife's husband, then you should be compensating them. The prison system shouldn't be the one profiting. They should be the ones getting the profit from them being a slave for the rest of their life.
Well,
If you kill somebody's dad, you owe that little girl the rest of your fucking life.
and they'll probably get
You
the
have given up your right to
wrongful
life
deaths.
by killing. You've given up your right to life by ending someone else's. So that means you don't own your life anymore. That little fucking girl owns you and your life, and the rest of your fucking days you should be working to fucking pay her. You should be working to put her through college and do everything possible to provide restitution. Our system now is not about restitution. It's about fucking throwing the hammer down and punishing people. It should be about restitution.
Well,
That I agree with you with.
you're
That
right,
should be
and
about
I do
restitution.
agree with that.
I do agree on that with you, Justin.
And
I'm not
why do
gonna argue
people and people get longer sentences for victimless crimes than they do for fucking raping somebody? And you know why that is? is because a fucking pothead or that fucking guy out on the street slinging dope, he's a better fucking slave than a goddamn rapist is. He's a better slave than a murderer is. That's why they get longer sentences, because they're more productive.
I never did quite get the understanding on why people get 25 years for having, 2 pounds of weed in their fucking car. I never understood
Well,
that.
that's the reason.
No, I'm not being funny. I
It's
never
a
understood.
for-profit slave system.
You get I know a guy that's serving 7 years in jail right now because he did kill somebody in a DUI. Okay, and so he got put away for vehicular homicide, as he should be. Okay, and what you were just saying, Justin, about the restitution, and he's paying restitution now because at the same time he's in jail. Now there's a wrongful death suit against him, so he'll be paying the restitution too. But yeah, I don't get why he does 7 years, right? And like I said, the guy with the 2 pounds of weed is getting 20 years, 25, 25 years.
Sometimes life.
That makes no sense to me. Yeah. I mean, I understand.
Well, look at Reagan's drug war.
Right. I understand the meaning behind the law. I just don't happen to agree with it. You know what I mean? I don't.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know what it is here in Massachusetts. I don't know what they're lacing it with. I don't know if it's just bad heroin or what the fuck is going on with it. But they're already up to, it's only fucking the first part of April. In the state of Massachusetts, it's already up to 1,000 fucking overdoses of heroin.
Well, I'm sorry, but you have the right to your own body, and you have the right to kill yourself if you want to. I'm sorry.
You do, but they're thinking that there's something in the heroin more than them killing. They're not trying to kill themselves. They're trying to get high. So,
Which is exactly why it should be legalized, and you should have the fucking ingredients listed on the side of the bottle when you go pick it up from the drugstore.
Let me ask you this. You don't believe in spending taxpayers' money, nor do I, right? So let me ask you this. I agree with you. I'm not being a wise ass. I totally agree with you about if you want to take your own life, no matter what the issue is, you have that right. It's yours. My wife and I are already understanding that because I smoke like a fucking chimney, I get stage 4 lung cancer, she knows what to do. It's not an issue. Okay? But if I decide on my own to go jump off a bridge, right? Now what's going to happen? Somebody's going to call the fire department. Somebody just took a nosedive off a bridge, right? So now that cop's going to respond, and now the fire department's going to respond, and now the dive team's going to respond, and all these people are going to respond. Now I'm using taxpayers' money to fish my ass out of a fucking river.
Well,
I'm just saying, they're not gonna. They're gonna look for you, and they're gonna spend time looking for you.
Well, Mike, maybe you should have went down and you should have voted to change that law before you fucking committed suicide.
I don't think
going down and voting could have fucking changed the fact that the fire department would show up.
But the taxpayer is gonna pay either way you look at it.
Yeah, but there's a kabillion, if that's even a number. $1 billion spent on sicknesses caused by cigarettes, taxpayer dollars. So so it don't matter. The cigarette argument's a non.
I'm just saying. No, it wasn't about the cigarettes. It was more of the fact that if I kill myself and use taxpayers' money to have them.
Yeah, either way, you're using taxpayers' money because one day taxpayers are probably going to end up, unless you got a ton of money I don't know about, is probably going to end up taking care of you.
I ain't got no ton of money.
Yeah. So one day, let's say the cigarettes catch up to you, and they will. They always do. Yep. Everybody gets old. Nobody's evading death in this room. It's going to catch all of us, and who knows by what. So someday it's the cigarettes catch up to you, and that'll, believe me, the trip to the hospital and the ambulance and you hooking you up to the ICU and all that stuff, you don't have any money, that's going to cost taxpayers too. So either way, the bridge would be cheaper, quicker, ambulance call. Quit smoking, man.
The $1.50 bullet. The $1.50 bullet's the easiest way to go.
Yeah.
And if they bring the helicopter out, that's $150,000 right off the bat.
Hey, Ohio,
I'm stingy bastard.
Hey, Ohio, I'm so important there'll be fucking 2 helicopters.
Hey, my volume was booming before, but how does it sound now?
It's still pretty loud.
It's pretty loud.
Man, I got a piece of duct tape over the mic.
You get too much.
You should try a fucking rag or something, or a piece of rubber.
Put a condom over that thing.
So I see Tom's out in the chat room. I sent him a link. I know he's under the weather, but I figured I'd do that just the same. I sent G Mangos a link. But anyway, before we get into it again, I just want to thank. I'm not going anywhere, so I don't want anybody to get nervous. But there's a huge amount of people that came in since we've been talking here.
Yeah, I've been shouting them out out there and stuff.
Have you? Good. Thank you, Jack. Appreciate that, brother. So thanks everybody for coming in. That's awesome.
I think. Can I just say something? I don't think it's not just the cost, it's not just the laws. It's the privatization of everything. Prisons, and not only prisons, but the probation departments and stuff like that in all the cities and stuff like that. That's all been privatized now, and they survive by keeping you in trouble, violating you for silly stuff, and keeping you in prison. Man, there's nothing. How much money do you think they're getting per prisoner from our tax money for a victim for smoking a joint? How much do you think that costs the taxpayer?
$137 per day.
There you go. So, I mean, yeah, that's coming out of our pockets because of a law that we all can't get together and say, hey, let the guy smoke a joint if he wants to smoke a joint, And instead, we can all just keep shucking out that $137 per prisoner in the United States, which has the largest prison system in the entire world, more than China, more than North Korea, more than anybody in the whole world.
That's because they kill their prisoners off.
Preach it.
That's because they execute their bad ones.
Hot.
Well, and another thing is, you talk about the privatization of jails and prisons and stuff, is community corrections and look at all the judges that sit on the boards. The judges are the ones who sit on the board of trustees for these private prisons.
Oh yeah, they're the
ones making the money by sending people to prison.
Oh yeah, they're good. You don't think they're getting paid? I doubt there's any honest one. I swear, if you found an honest one, please. I don't care who they are. Maybe if they're in like a city like Alpena, where I live, that exception I'm talking about.
Right.
Of course there's good people out there. Not all people are bad, but I think the rule is, I think most of the judges are certainly corrupt, and they're definitely taking money to do certain things to certain people, to keep those prisons populated, to keep those probation systems privatized. The judge could clamp down on a lot of these probation systems, but they won't, because they give them a lot of leeway to do whatever they want, and that's a huge problem. It's my 2 cents.
Hey, Johnny Master at Arms done, sir. How are you tonight?
Yeah.
Well, you know what? We might as well just spin into the whole race thing then. You got President Reagan with his war on drugs. A white kid gets caught with a kilo of cocaine, and he gets a fine and probation. A black kid gets caught with a $10 rock of crack, which is made from cocaine, gets fucking 25 years in life because he can't afford to, he's not rich, he doesn't have a fucking lawyer daddy or a congressman as a daddy or something like that, that he gets 25 years in jail because he's poor and comes from the ghetto.
Yeah.
What the hell, there's another thing. Our prisons are full of people that don't deserve to be there. Like Justin said, 65%, and they're overpopulated, so therefore the people that actually commit real crimes don't have to go to jail because they have money, and they can pay fines and postpone their court date over and over and over again. And what happens when you start postponing court dates?
Those people a lesson. It's important to teach those people a lesson, though, Ohio. If Scott didn't overpopulate the prison, he would drive without a license again. You must teach these people lessons.
He's facetious now.
No, Justin's being facetious? No, sir.
You know where I'm coming from, though, when it comes to, you know, I've seen how it works. Somebody with a little bit of money will have their lawyer. They'll pay some lawyer fees to have their lawyer postpone the case. And when they pay that lawyer fee, guess who gets money? Not just the defense lawyer, but the prosecuting lawyer and the judge gets money from them fees. And then, you know, they postpone it for a couple months. Then, hey, your court date comes up. They give a little bit more money. They postpone it. This happens over and over again for about a year or two. And then guess what? The court docket is so full with other stuff that, well, we need to get rid of some of these cases. So what do? They dismiss them. And I've seen that for a fact.
Yeah. I mean,
Money.
have I been on the receiving end of a because I know somebody type deal? Absolutely. What the fuck do I care? I got out of trouble. I don't give a fuck.
But is it
I'm
right?
quite sure. Huh? Well,
Is it the right thing to do?
what am I supposed to beg them to please fucking give me the fucking, you know, the fullest extent of the law?
Send me the chair.
Right, you know, it's like,
There's your answer to jail time right there. Is public humiliation again. Let's fucking put people in the where they buckle them up in the, you know, their hands and their fucking face stick out and they're locked on the town square for fucking 4 or 5 days with no food or water. People can run by and throw rocks and shit at them and throw pies and rotten tomatoes and shit at them. Public shame their ass for a couple days.
I think
That's what we should do.
if you remember when Clinton was president, right? There was some kid, and I want to say,
I don't know. I was high that entire time.
well, there was a kid out in the Philippines. I want to say it was the Philippines. That,
Where he got the caning? He was.
And his family wanted Clinton to stop it, and because he was an American citizen. And my thought process says, when in Rome, do as the Romans. So you fuck up another country, you best better know the goddamn rules before you fuck up. You know?
See, I don't agree with that because we don't hold them to the same standards. They come over here, they break the same law, and we don't do nothing about it.
That's because we're supposed to be a better country than them. Okay.
Well, how's that? By letting them get away with committing a crime?
No, they didn't let them get away
even
with
if it
it.
has a victim.
They didn't let them get
Well,
away.
sure they do. They get away with it.
They caned his ass.
Yeah, but we give them fucking. But they come over here and commit a crime. We give them fucking money and a job and welfare and insurance and say, "Welcome to America," even though they committed a crime.
Hey, you're down in you're over in Italy, do they have speed limits over there? Whatever, you do something in Italy, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah, they got revenue generating laws.
So you do something wrong in Italy, and the fine in Italy is $5,000, and the fine in America is $500. Too bad, you did it. Pay the fine.
Yep.
You have to know, Ohio. How boring would this world be if we were all the fucking same? If every country had the exact same.
It'd be fucking awesome if you guys were all like me.
No, it wouldn't. No, it wouldn't.
Oh, I'm the shit, man. No, you misunderstand what I
You're a
said.
cool guy, but what I'm saying, Ohio, is that of course the law is going to be different from country to country. They're not all going to be the
Right,
same.
but you misunderstood what I said, though.
I know.
I'm
We
saying,
looked them all in. I get that. That's because we're a melting pot. We have been since day one. It's
no,
you're not
but I'm
gonna
just
change
saying,
that.
you know, what Rome do as the Romans, you know, it doesn't fall the same way. Maybe we should, you know, hold them accountable for the crimes they commit over here, just as they're holding us accountable.
Yeah.
for
Well,
crimes
I have a
we
belief.
commit
I have a
over
belief
there.
that's right. I have a belief that says if you're on a green card over here, okay, and you get caught, I don't know, burglary. Name something. Burglary, any type of crime, right? Bye. If you were from the Dominican, you go back to Dominican. You're from Canada, you're going back to Canada. You're from frickin' Russia, you're going back to Russia. I don't give a fuck where you're from.
No, we got to send them to jail first and teach them a lesson before we send them back to their country.
What did you
just
say?
get the fuck
You
out.
gotta punish them.
Because I don't want to feed his ass.
Yeah.
I don't want my money going to feed his ass. So get him the fuck out.
Yeah, no, you send him to jail because then you still get our tax dollars. That's the thing. They don't give a fuck about who they put in there at all. They just want the bodies in there. They don't care what the crime whatsoever. And that's so they can generate that $137 a day from us. That's it right there.
Yes, I want your tax dollars, comrade.
It's like the argument about
license plates or whatever to boot, and then it's privatized prison. They're making money off the people that we're paying to be there. That money doesn't even come back to the government. It gets used by those private people.
I think that it's like the death penalty, and they've proven it. They're right. It costs more money to kill somebody than it does to keep them in jail. I get all that. So you know what I think? You know what I think? What's a round cost? $1? So
Yeah, I can't believe that for a minute.
If you walk in and remember, who was the jackass back in the 80s that walked in fucking McDonald's and wiped out like 27 people and killed them all, right?
Do you know how many people
I
have
don't
been
know, but you-
exonerated of crimes after conviction? Like
Misfit, I didn't hear what
months
you
and
said.
years down the road?
Do we know what?
Do you realize how many people have been exonerated of crimes months and years down the road after conviction?
Yes, but I wanted to. I was going to get to that, but you're right. Yes, I do.
So
We
this
had a
whole,
couple. We've had a couple here in Boston.
One round immediate termination thing. That's
Well, hang on. Let me finish though.
all right. Go ahead.
The guy out there in California that wiped out the 27 people, they knew he did it. There was no, well, the DNA, da-da-da-da, there was no question. This sumbitch did it, period. Guess what? Give him his day in court because he's American and you give the day in court. You find him guilty, you put a bullet in his head. It's like it's like the jackass that they have in federal court right now in Boston, okay, with the Boston bombings. All right, his brother's dead. I call him Speed Bump because he rode over his brother, and I call the other one Gilligan because they found him in a fucking boat with no water. All right, so they have them on film, okay? They have them on film, leaving the bombs, the whole 9 yards. They know they did it. He's not on trial right now to prove his innocence. He's on trial right now so he doesn't get executed. So my point is, they have him on film doing it. He knows he did it. His lawyer knows he did it. Get the doll around, take him behind the fucking building, put one in his fucking forehead, call it a fucking day.
Honestly, I'd rather go through the loops and bounds of the pain in the ass it is now if it means saving the one or two innocent men that fall through the fucking cracks, because it does fucking happen. It's been proven throughout history that innocent men do get convicted and have been put to death by our justice system. So if having to go through some bullshit, if having to go through some bullshit bureaucracy means that we keep guys from being put to death who shouldn't be put to death, and I am all for it being a pain in the ass to put guys to death in this fucking country. Because frankly, I'm not really for the death penalty, period. Because I think the death penalty is the easy way out for someone who's a fucking, like, true sicko fucking criminal. They should just, like, if you're a true sicko fucking criminal, that there is no rehabilitation for, you're just creating victims, you're a violent, sick fuck, you should just be thrown in jail with the other animals and just left to fucking rot. There should be no death fucking penalty. And I'll also put it, and that's just how I feel on the subject.
There was it was on the news today. There was an individual that was on death row for 30 years, and guess what? They let him loose because the bullets didn't match the gun and ballistics. The person who testified lied about the bullets in the victim that matched the gun of the, so the evidence they had against him was all lie, and they convicted this man on someone's lies. And he's out today, and guess what? And he's going to sue, and guess who has to pay for those lies? The taxpayers.
like I said, if you can prove it beyond, if you can prove it with video, then you can do it. If you can't, then don't. But why are we
There's
wasting
plenty
right
of them
now?
that are locked up for life that have admitted to the crime and
Right.
confessed to it.
So then put a bullet in the head and call it a day.
Like video lies. I mean, look at all these cops getting off murdering people. That video must be lying.
Put them.
Yeah, video lies.
Yeah. It's been out in the chat room that there's been actually it's only been one person that I mentioned in the chat room, but I'll mention the other one. That Jack's not talking enough, and neither is Chuck. So can you two guys talk so the chat room people will feel as though that we're not shunning you guys?
I'm
Yeah,
not
bro,
Asian.
kind of balls and fucking say something.
I like cheese on my crackers, and I'm not Asian.
You not?
I like cheese on my crackers too.
You not?
Sometimes peanut butter.
Well, thank you very much, everybody. You will let me talk and chat. All right.
Chuck, you want to say hi?
Yeah, hey guys. I think a lot of the problems that we see with what we're discussing right now is the same thing that we see with government in general, and basically it's that they've made little changes over many years, and then we've ended up with what we got now, and everybody's frustrated, and well.
Well, I'm the last guy to say that our system is perfect, because it is certainly flawed. I think I said that first when I stepped into the discussion.
Yeah.
But our system is flawed. Our system is jacked up.
Everybody's
But
system is.
Locking people up for victimless crimes isn't one of those flaws, right?
Hang on, let him finish. Go ahead, Scott.
What can we do to fix it? I mean, there's people having chats like this all over the freaking country, but what are they doing to fix it?
Awareness. They're making awareness. That's a good start.
That's the thing.
Right, yeah.
It's this whole
How
movement
about people's?
been going since 2012. Was the big with a whole lot of like freedom-loving dudes and gun-loving guys, and just all these communities kind of came together during that whole initial gun scare in 2012. And since then, the numbers have gotten huge. I've seen people, the numbers have jumped of people getting involved in these chats and discussing. I mean, the flow of information is, even with the internet, it's much faster than it used to be, but changing minds and, changing ideas takes years. I mean, it's a slow process. This idea that, we're just going to get on the internet and, over one or two elections we'll change everything we want is just, it's a flawed way of thinking. It's going to be a slow dissemination of information and ways of thinking throughout word of mouth and just affecting the people around you. I mean, that's all you really can do as a private citizen besides your vote, which, unlike 420, I do still believe in the power of voting, even though I do agree with him on most everything else he said tonight. I still do believe in voting to a point. But it really is all we can fucking do is just talk and try and share opinions and share information. That's really...
Well, Midwest, I'm pretty sure you'd agree with me that voting isn't the only form of participation, though, right?
Oh, fuck no. Oh, fuck
I
no.
mean, to say because I don't vote means I'm doing nothing is kind of bullshit, right?
No, I would agree with that. There are other ways to participate, but I will say that voting is
Hey,
now...
Justin. Hey, you're right. Voting isn't the only way. Sometimes introducing bills and rallying support behind those bills, especially in state legislature, is the way to go. I mean, if you don't want privatized prisons, the best place to start is have your state change the law to outlaw them. And I'm just using that as an example, and I think I'm not talking directly to you. I'm talking to all of us. If there's stuff out there that we're unhappy with, it's best to start with the state and then move it forward to federal.
Man, the federal would cut them. People that take that privately owned prisons get paid so much money from the federal government. They would be political suicide to speak out against a prison. It would. It's just what you're saying is.
There's people that got the balls to do it.
But the thing about it is,
No,
it's
there's
sort
people
of
that
like
have the courage.
it's sort of like Justin said. You know, are we looking at them as our masters, or are we going to step up to the plate and take our place as the masters, as like we're supposed to be? You know, and I see it a little bit more difficult these days because the country's so divided in ideology. But at some point, there has to be some common sense solutions to all the problems we're having, and if it means conceding, you know, a little bit of what you're looking for to gain something else, then I think that's what we need to do, and that's why I think starting within our own state is the way to go. But I mean, I could be wrong. Yeah.
You know what I do? I drive around my windows down with Twisted Sister playing. I'm like, we're not gonna take it. That really gets people's attention.
Fuck yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
I just
Dude,
keep
let's
a
rock
couple
out.
of clean beavers around.
Hashtag clean beavers. Hashtag tuna town. Hashtag taco torpedo. Hashtag I'm not Asian. I just look that way. I was born this way, I'm sorry.
Yeah, what about, we covered the drugs, we covered the alcohol and the cigarettes. What
Now
about,
it's time to party.
yeah.
Now that we got the drugs, the alcohol, and cigarettes.
Alright, who's got the I'll start rolling up the blunts real quick and
Yeah, I mean, really, in the privacy of your own home, especially. I mean, come on, what are we talking about? You know, and there's plenty of countries that do allow all kinds of drugs, and they're functioning just fine. They haven't fallen apart like predicted.
And their violent crime rate goes way down.
Wait,
Way down. Yeah.
get some people some real help. Nobody's just because you're not against the drug policy don't mean you're for drugs. You want to get people help, man, the help they need. You know, you're not just, well, cocaine's legal now, let's everybody do it. It's not like that. And it's the same way with weed. Either you smoke weed or you don't. You know, and it being legal or not don't make a difference, obviously. You know,
Right, but saying it's okay
I'm sorry,
for someone
but
to have that right to smoke it is okay. It's a decision you make not to smoke it. It's your decision. That's your right.
Yeah. You shouldn't put any.
But what gives you the right to, you know, say somebody else can't do something?
But yeah, I mean, you want to get these people some help who are on really heavy drugs, you know, and you know, and prison's definitely not helping them. I mean, there's drugs and rapes and all kinds of stuff in prison. I mean, there's a little crime network going on.
Well, I mean, that's proof positive that prohibition doesn't work. They can't keep drugs out of prison.
Yeah.
I mean, what the fuck? And yet we think that you making it illegal is going to keep people from doing it?
Yeah.
That putting people in prison is going to keep people from doing it? Come on.
The
Just-
sad
I'm
fact
not
of
saying
reality.
it should be illegal. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying we need different ways to govern it and different penalties. I mean, I think the penalties, you know, for getting caught with a joint are way too stiff.
It should be rehab. Yeah, not with a joint.
Why
Let
should
me
there
ask
be
you
any
this. Hold on.
penalty?
Just
I
because
mean, they already mandate
Hang on,
rehab.
one at a time.
I'm kind of new to the conversation. What's your name? What's your name? I forget. I'm sorry. Scott. Why do you feel?
Yes.
Why do you feel that marijuana should be illegal? I'm just curious.
I don't think it should be illegal. Why shouldn't it be legal? I think
Okay.
there has to be some kind of way to legalize it. Yet, I mean, they do it with alcohol. So why can't they do it with pot?
Okay, no. So we're essentially in agreement. So, in the current state that we're in now, how can you be okay with locking people in a jail for essentially what is the same as cracking a beer open at the end of the day if someone wants to smoke a joint in their house? Like,
Right.
And I
I think you should be
understand
able to
you
do
wanna say
whatever you
what-
want in your own home. You should be able to do whatever you want in your own house. If you want to smoke weed, fine. the minute you walk out that door and get behind the wheel, you're not in your own home anymore.
Well, that's
You're putting other
DUI.
people's lives in-
DUI is already illegal. It shouldn't matter what substance you're on. DUI is already.
I think what's gonna happen.
DUIs are illegal, but if I walk out of the house stoned out of my freaking gourd, and I haven't smoked pot in probably 30 years, but
It's not illegal to be high. It's only illegal to get high.
No, I think the problem that they're gonna run into is where pot stays in your system. There'll be no way to find out whether
That's
obviously unless the cop sees you with a joint, you got it in your hand or something while you're driving, obviously. But something barring that. So in other words, you're going to work in the morning and you have a joint on your way to work in the morning, all right? And you go to lunch for whatever, you go to lunch, you get in your car to go to lunch, and you get pulled over for whatever fucking stop sign.
Yeah, for driving too slow.
And he smells the weed in the car, right? And he smells the weed, and he asks you, you've been smoking weed, and you say, yeah, whatever. Well, you know what I'm saying? Or you didn't smoke that day, or you haven't smoked in 2 days, and it's still in your fucking system. And so that's
a blood test. They can tell exactly when was the last time you smoked.
Yeah.
Blood test has the THC levels. Will say he smoked marijuana in the past 2 hours, past half hour, past 8 hours, past 16 hours.
It's a
past 30 hours.
That's not completely true. That's not completely true. Just like alcohol, everybody metabolizes it
differently.
Right, but I mean they can, but they could treat marijuana as a DUI just like they do drinking.
Yeah, but
if you drink 8 beers
that's all I'm saying.
last night and drive the next day, you might still blow a .0004, something like that. Even though it's been 12 hours since you drank, you're not legally drunk. You can smoke weed and 6 hours go by and still not be legally high. You know what I'm saying?
Won't be high.
That's why I'm saying it's going to be hard, and I think these are the reasons why. I think that's one of the reasons why it's hard for it to legalize. Now, I don't know if I said it on this chat or another chat, but here in Massachusetts, it's anything under a half ounce or something is a $100 fine.
But
the reason it's hard to make it legal is because the pharmaceutical companies wouldn't make any fucking money from it.
Yeah, where's this argument that it's hard to make legal where in every state that they've made it legal, it's been nothing but crime rates dropping like rocks, huge amounts of tax money flying in.
But Misfit, now go back.
Too much money in Colorado, they got to pay it back to citizens.
Go to Colorado and look at how many people have been arrested for driving under intoxication.
They're lower. Their DUI levels are lower than they have been in a long time. They just came out with a study about that thing just a few weeks ago. I swear to God. I swear to God.
I was talking to a buddy of mine who lives out in Dillon, Colorado, and he was telling me they're all up in arms about the amount of people that
maybe in their little
conservative people with sticks up their ass are up in arms about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Those people were smoking and driving before. It was
exactly.
The legalization made no difference in drinking it, in smoking.
And I'm not saying that it should be illegal. I'm saying that driving under the influence of coke, heroin, pot, whatever, is still should be illegal.
Well, that's the issue.
Driving under the influence of a chemical substance, you should be
arrested. We have people right now locked up in prison.
Coke and heroin should be illegal earlier. You were saying that those two should be illegal earlier. You never said weed should be illegal, but you were saying that coke and heroin should be illegal.
Well, but there again, it has the potential to cause harm to others.
But all this potential harm that could be caused to others, there's already laws that take care of these things. Just DUI laws, theft laws, property damage.
Everything has the potential to cause harm to others. Should we not let people have automobiles in the first place because potentially one day they might harm somebody? Same for guns. Should we not let people have guns in the first place because potentially one day they might harm somebody?
Of
course it's ridiculous when you say automobiles or guns, but when you say coke and heroin, then it's all right to fucking make their behavior illegal.
I don't think I'm explaining myself the way I want to, so I can't think of the right words to put with it.
And I'm trying
Well,
to,
I mean,
but I don't
yeah,
know what
but
else to
you're
say.
explaining yourself perfectly fine. You said they have the potential of creating harm to others. Everything has that potential.
Yeah, if you get
It's
drunk
not a valid
you're
argument. The potential isn't a valid argument.
But they need the laws to govern the potential. The DUI laws are there to govern that potential of people doing it and getting drunk and hurting somebody.
Okay,
My
but
DUI that I got, my one and only DUI that I got, was our alcohol limit was 0.10 at the time, and I blew a 0.09, 0.10, 0.10. They tested me 3 times.
well,
And
you
they
averaged
refused to
out
give
to
me a blood
0.10, man. I'm sorry. The issue is
but
under your
agree.
thinking, all intoxicants should be illegal because they could potentially lead to somebody.
No.
Well, that's what you're saying,
different.
though. But that's what
The abuse
I
of
understand you might not
you
be
know that
trying
there's-
to word it
hey,
that way, but that's how you're wording it.
But there's already laws against
I'm
it.
saying I'm not wording it right. The abuse should be abusing a substance like that needs to be governed. I don't think it's wrong to have a drink.
They need help. They don't need to be governed.
Yeah, they need medical help. They don't need the government to step in and help. They need to go to a hospital. They don't need to go to
harming people is already illegal. It's already illegal to go out and harm somebody. Same thing with guns. You know, we don't need gun regulations because it's already fucking illegal to go out and hurt somebody with a gun. That doesn't mean we take guns away from people.
No.
Yeah, sure.
I'm not
You have
saying
to,
take it away from them.
No,
But
but they
it's-
regulate those and govern those, though, don't they? Right?
No, they regulate the shit out of guns. Yeah.
Okay. So, I mean,
are you arguing for gun regulation, Mike?
Justin, come on now. That's right there, brother. Don't
I
make
mean,
me do
if you're arguing pro gun regulation, then we can get into it. But
I mean, I could potentially shoot more people with a 30-round magazine. Does that mean I shouldn't have them? I mean, if you really want to go deep down that rabbit hole of potential, I mean, we can take that to some ugly places.
Slippery slope.
Yep.
We can.
But you, if you want to base the laws on rationality, though, and it's just that we've all been brought up to think of weed as a drug to begin with. It's not a drug; it's a plant. It's
a plant, man.
Yeah, it's a plant.
Isn't it all?
so is cocaine and heroin.
I mean,
It all starts out as a plant, man.
Richard Nixon was the one.
Man.
Richard Nixon made it a class 1 drug just because to separate them, because he wanted to separate the hippies that didn't like Vietnam from, let's arrest these people and get them out of here, so we can keep fighting this war. So.
No, man. J. Edgar Hoover did that, man.
We just need more laws is all we need. There's so many laws in the books right now that you actually commit probably 2 felonies before you even leave for work in the morning.
So, Dominic DeVito wrote in the chat room, coke and heroin should be illegal because they aren't natural plants. They are chemicals that are very deadly. They destroy the environment to make them, and coca is legal in most of South America as a plant.
Oxycontin should be illegal then, and Percocet should be illegal.
Ohio, those drugs are legalized only through a doctor.
Now hold on though.
But they're made from chemicals, Mike. He said right there in his thing, they're not natural plants. They are chemicals that are very deadly. So is OxyContin, so is Percocet, so is Vicodin, so is antibiotics if misused. They're made from chemicals. They're not even natural. They're man-made materials.
It's opium.
So they should be illegal
it's all opium. It's all opioid based.
Cocaine and heroin are not chemicals. I mean, they're not. I have fucking poppies growing in my yard right now. But if I was to go out there and slice them and fucking gather that sap, I'd be a felon. Our fucking poppies growing in my yard harming the planet and harming the environment.
It grows natural all over Arizona, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, wild poppies grow everywhere.
Yeah.
All through North America. Almost every state you can find wild poppies.
I know we got them here in Minnesota.
I would say it's what really is the difference between an OxyContin and heroin, Mike? I mean, if I use
One's legal,
either,
one isn't.
there's an LD. But why? I mean, there's an LD50 dose of either. If I take too much of either, it's going to kill me. I can abuse either in the exact same way. They are both opium-based drugs. I mean, they literally have the same effects on the user, and they can both do the exact same terrible things to you if used improperly.
Most heroin addicts,
It's just like drug dealers do.
from.
It's just like drug dealers do with the coke, right? They cut it down, right? Because who actually gets pure coke? Probably fucking nobody. All right. So they cut it all back. Okay, and the pharmaceutical companies do the same thing. Because I got Percocets. I'm on Percocets right now for my mouth. All right, and they're only 385s. So they cut them with something else. Okay.
You're pretty much arguing for the legalization of drugs right now.
Me personally, I can't take a fucking Tylenol without having a fucking issue. It's just my body.
So, let me ask you this. If you truly believe that the issue is that drug dealers are going to cut them with shit that's not safe, why not legalize it and allow these companies that are going to be regulated by things like the FDA and the USDA to make these drugs? And we know they won't have a bunch of crazy fucking street chemicals on them. Why not that then?
Because I've seen way too many people. I know way too many people that are gone, and I see way too many people.
Oh my God! Hang on, you didn't go there.
So this is feelings. This is just your personal feelings. And here's the thing: addicts are addicts. These people are gonna drink alcohol. They're gonna do their pills. Addicts are addicts are addicts. That's the thing. I'm sorry. I feel bad if you want to go down a bad road. This is your personal feelings.
Relax, Ohio.
Dude, Midwest has the most calmest voice ever. Man, I could
He's
listen
got a
to
radio voice. I'm telling you, the man should be on radio. I say it all the time.
it don't even matter what he says. I'm just gonna agree with him the whole time.
Well, Big Rock Daddy out in the chat says, "Fuck it, let's do away with stoplights, stop signs. Same logic. It's nuts. The fucking power goes out all the fucking time.
Yeah.
There's no traffic lights, and the world does not come to a fucking end. People stop at the intersection, and they let people go. We don't need traffic lights to tell us that you're going to hit somebody or whatever. That's just a stupid...
Yeah, that is one of the more ridiculous arguments I've ever heard. I mean, why don't people just blow through red lights? It's because they don't want to get fucking hurt. It's not because it's against the law. I mean, laws do not stop criminals, right? We all know this. Laws don't fucking stop criminals.
And
people don't blow their stop signs because they don't want to get in a fucking accident. Not because they're going to get a fucking $200 ticket.
Justin, they don't stop criminals. They stop good people from making bad decisions.
There's a big difference also between what a person chooses to put in their body.
Yes.
And the rules of the road. Let's be honest, because I totally agree. I totally agree that there are some laws that totally need to exist for public safety and just logic. Let's just put my argument just logically based. Some laws do make sense, but these victimless crime laws, such as marijuana, drug use, gambling, things like that. Essentially, these sin laws are ridiculous, and they are from days gone by. And essentially, it's a bunch of Victorian-minded old folk just kind of clinging to their 1950s belief system that are holding us back in this part of our lives. It's kind of depressing. I mean, nothing against anybody, but it's just.
You got to understand, though, the system itself tells everybody that it's bad. So when you got the system telling everybody it's bad, then it's hard for other people to say, well, it should be legalized, because look at how much money they've been pumping into the war on drugs, and everything's bad, and so they're going to lose a lot of face when they do legalize it, because they're going to say, well, it's really bad for you, but we're going to let you do it. And I think that's one of the problems.
Yeah,
It's
I mean,
just- I actually believe in freedom. If I believe in freedom for myself, How can I not believe in freedom for everyone else to make their own decisions? Like, if I want to be free to make my own decisions in my life, who am I to tell this man that he can't make freedom? He can swing his fist as much as he wants to as long as it doesn't make contact with my face. If that makes sense, if that analogy makes sense. Like
I don't know.
If my subscribers plummet after this chat.
Yeah, I got a feeling I'll lose people.
Hey, Mike,
Yeah.
look at the side chat.
What's up, Jack?
Hey, can my friend Basic come up in here, man? Come up in here. He's really cool, man. He ain't gonna cause no problem or nothing.
Good.
But he
Thank you for
Miguel,
asking.
he does.
Appreciate it.
If he does, we can just boot his ass.
Who can't be worse than me?
You know, that's Midwest, what you're talking about, that's the problem with the system now. You know, they go out there and they start preaching, yeah, swinging is bad. You know, report if you see anybody swinging, you know, their arms. And you're like, hey, well, I don't care if anybody swings as long as they don't hit me. And you're absolutely correct. And it's just the way they condition the society to believe one thing, and you know, then once society has bought that way of thinking, then they got to try and figure out a way on selling society on how to accept it. Because I'm pro legal marijuana, but I understand at the same time that the vast majority of conservatives, Christians, whatever, are anti-marijuana because they've had it pounded into their head over and over again so many times that it's bad.
Yeah, but who gives a fuck what those idiots do?
As much as
I mean, I give them freedom to fucking practice whatever they want. You know, their little fairy tale religion. They should give me the freedom to do what I want. And the fact is that, you know, if voting in popular majority actually worked, if what people wanted is actually what became law, over 50% of the United States wants marijuana to be completely legalized. But you know what? Our opinions don't mean shit when they have a fucking system like this profiting off of it.
And that's just one of many fronts when you want to talk about hypocritical conservatives. I mean,
let me ask you guys a question. I don't believe I'm actually going to. Brandon, you ready for this one, bud? I might actually agree with you. Not with what he said prior, but right here. He said if nobody was ever arrested for cocaine and meth or heroin, nobody was ever arrested, this world would be a way worse off. You know how much shit drug addicts steal to get their fix.
and they would go to jail for theft. Theft is illegal.
There'd be more resources to capture criminals, to capture the fucking people who steal.
Exactly. Instead of going out there and worried about busting drug dealers, we'd have twice as many cops to worry about things like theft, to worry about things like preventing murder, to worry about things like stopping rapes and solving rapes. We'd have 3 and 4 times as many police to put towards real crime if we weren't worried about busting kids on the street corner smoking a joint, or Jimmy Crackhead rattling down the street to get his fucking crack rock. They could be worried about real things like protecting your property, protecting your safety, instead of bullshit money-producing crimes like petty drug crime. That's.
I mean, I'm sorry. I don't know how much attention we should really give Brandon's comments. You know, I don't think the logic is very strong with a person who gets a Craigslist tour and fucking gives his wife an STD.
Justin, come on, dude. That's brother. You know, as much as I picked on him for that, we've allowed him to try to get away from that. So come on, dude.
I'm just saying I don't think the logic is very strong with this one.
I understand that part, and you're not getting an argument out of me.
The force is not
it's the other shit that you said. No, I understand. I'm just thinking that you do, but your crime rate and everything. But now let me ask you this: so it gets legalized and all that, right?
Give them clean needles.
Right. Give them all clean needles. Stop all the hepatitis C and stop all the HIV. I get all that.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
You know how much money we fork out?
Hang on. Now, we already don't like our government, right? Because they're making too much money. Who's going to regulate all this? Who's going to make the money?
We aren't making
You know,
more
they-
laws. We're making less laws.
Yeah,
They
we're not
do that
making
in
more
other
laws. You're
countries.
taking laws away.
Well, if you legalize them all, right?
Right.
And who's going to make the money?
Who
It'll
cares?
be taxed like any other product over the shelf. That's
Yeah.
Right. The same people like the liquor people. Who makes the money there?
Yeah, the same people that make money off
I'm
of
just-
beer
I'm
and
just-
wine sales, cigarette tax.
how is it? But you know,
I'm just-
how is your argument? How is your
No,
argument valid?
no,
No, hold on.
I'm
No,
just-
I'm serious. I have a point to make here.
Question.
How is your argument valid when you're instead of literally a deficit of money going out for us to enforce these laws, your argument is that it would be just as bad to have money coming in? Like that are like I understand what you mean. Like I'm all for small government, but you cannot
well, that's
convince
my
me that
point.
money
See-
coming into but money coming into the system has nothing to do with big or small government. That has nothing to money
Lower
coming
your
in the
taxes.
amount of, yeah, exactly. You can lower taxes at that point on the individual. You cannot make the argument that money going into the system is worse than stuff that we're having to pay out of our pockets to fund the war on drugs. Like that argument just does not make sense.
I just, it's just my belief. That's all.
That's
I'm
money
not
that doesn't
telling-
have to come out of your pocket anymore.
Right.
That's money that doesn't come out of your paycheck every week anymore.
I just don't want to, in my opinion, you know, I'm not telling anybody they're wrong, but in my own opinion, I don't, and I've said this before, Justin and I already talked about it, I'm not going to cater and help out the cartel in any way, shape, or form.
But that's the thing though.
You know?
Legalization destroys the cartel. It defunds the cartel. Once it's a legal thing that can be bought and sold at corner stores or at your pharmacy or whatever, they have no power. No one wants their bullshit Mexico weed. No one wants their bullshit Mexico cocaine. No one wants their bullshit Mexico heroin. They're getting the good shit from fucking Procter & Gamble now. We're getting the good shit from Camel. We're getting the good shit from fucking Marlboro. No one wants to deal with their fucking shitty, violent, cartel asses anymore. They're out of business. That shit's over with. They're just dudes down in Mexico now that ain't making money for nothing because their customer base is gone overnight.
They'll go back to growing bananas or sugarcane or whatever the fuck else.
All right, so I got a pot question because I haven't smoked pot since I was probably, I don't know, 30. So for last 18 years. Back in the day, I remember growing up in the 80s, the THC levels were like fucking 8% if they were lucky. What are they today without doing anything, what are your basic THC levels today?
On a whole, they've gone up maybe 4% total. But on a whole, they've gone up 4% total. Yeah, you do have strains that are a lot more than that.
Right.
But
We'll get you.
people use a lot less of that shit too, because of the cost. So it's not like people are.
Yeah, you're talking about boutique strains that only super wealthy motherfuckers can really afford to dabble in any regularity.
Yeah.
I just haven't smoked weed.
You can also look at it this way: the highest percentage in the 80s, the average was like 6 to 8% in the 80s.
Yeah.
Right now, the average is like 10 to 12%. But the high percentage in the 80s was still around 18 to 20%, and the high right now is around 20 to 28%. It's not that big a difference. It's not like it's doubled and tripled or anything like that.
Right. No, I was just wondering because somebody had told me that weed is so much better now than it was years ago. I was just wondering.
He hasn't smoked weed since dime bag was an ounce.
Right, I haven't. In all the years I smoked pot, here's the funny part, right? Here's what a douchebag I am. Whoops, pardon my French, ladies. Here's what an asshole I am, right? All the years.
Wait, you change from douchebag to asshole and say sorry about your language?
I say if we're not supposed to curse, I'm in real trouble. So I have.
Thanks, Ohio. Nobody has to point that out but you, right? You made me lose my train of thought, Ohio. What's the matter with you? Oh, I'd buy whatever, but I would never. I always sucked at rolling it. I always sucked. Now that they have these cigarette machines out, damn, I'd be making fucking joints the size of a cigarette. But Oh, I would in a heartbeat. You know, as a matter of fact, I used to make my own cigarettes, and one of the guys at work says to me, he says, "Hey, can I use the machine one of these days?" I was, "I don't know if it'll work. It's too dry." You know, he says, "Oh, can we try it?" I said, "Yeah, we can try it." We tried. He got two out of it, and the fucking size of a goddamn cigarette. But I never rolled it, and I never. I don't know why. But somebody was telling me
You
today.
didn't inhale either, did you?
Oh no, I didn't inhale. Somebody was telling me today that, am I right on this? And I don't know if it's an East Coast, I don't know if it's a demographic type price or not, like where you live type thing. But somebody was telling me today that it's like $2.50 for an ounce of fucking weed. Is that right?
It can be, depending, like,
Wow.
you can get really shitty stuff. Like you can get Mexican swag for like $70 a fucking ounce. But then if you want to get like the super good stuff, yeah, it can be that expensive.
Wow.
Yeah, $85 to get you get you a good high.
How much for a lid, man?
Hey, I got a good question for you guys. What do you think? Because I got mixed emotions about this. What do you think about? What if a kid commits a crime? Should the parent be held responsible?
What? Like what? What kind of crime?
Doesn't matter. Well, let's say there's a victim involved. So.
Okay. And how old? You know, I mean, you got to give specifics. Is the kid 16, 17, 15, 12, 10? I mean,
Below 18.
Okay.
He's living at home. Living at home under your roof.
No.
Are we talking larceny?
Well, let's say you get your gun and shoot somebody. You know, with your gun.
Oh hell yeah, that's negligence.
Well,
yeah, you better take my ass to jail.
Right, because my gun's supposed to be by law in Massachusetts anyway. It's supposed to be by law locked up.
And that's just common sense.
So, well, I don't happen to believe in that. But
what if he steals something?
No.
Well, I don't mean I wasn't trying to hit you on a personal level. I was just saying, don't keep your gun where your kid can get it.
Right, exactly. No, I know what you meant. If he will, we'll use my kid. Because I got a 17-year-old. Okay, my 17-year-old kid, for whatever reason, decides that he's going to go 3 houses down and break into their house and steal whatever, laptop and a fucking widescreen TV, a flat screen TV. Okay.
Yeah.
How am I responsible for that?
Well, a lot of places you are responsible, and here in Michigan is one of them. Because I got friends right now that are paying out the ass for their crimes, because they get put onto the probation and all that, and the parent has to pay for all that, and they also they get sent to these boot camps, and they got to pay for that too. You're talking about $3,500. That's just for the camp, that they get sent to or whatever. So that's paying for the crime a little bit.
But I'm guessing that if you're going to a boot camp to get straight or to get better or to whatever, all right.
No, you're not going to say that.
No, I'm guessing that's
to a boot camp.
I'm just guessing that it's not the first time they've been in trouble either, though.
Actually, that's not true. Most of the time.
I'm asking. I don't know. I'm just.
Well, no. A lot of times, what happens for first-time offenders when it comes to like alcohol or drug programs, especially with youth, they threaten them with jail time. And they say, well, if you pay to go take this like boot camp or like workshop or course or whatever, we'll drop the charges. So essentially, give the system money for a program, and we'll drop the charges. Give us money, we'll drop your charges. Extortion, essentially.
What about anybody
Well,
else?
I will
What
say
do you
that
guys think?
I don't know. Boot camp did me a world of good.
Did you go to boot camp, Scott?
Yeah, but you chose.
Yeah, United States Marine Corps boot camp.
You chose to go to boot camp. You chose to go to boot camp of your own free will. You weren't told, well, you can either pay to go to this boot camp or we're going to throw you in jail.
And you still drove without a damn license. I can't believe that.
I know, right?
Which is weird. Speaking of which, that's before I was in here. Did you argue? There's a whole thing going around, and some states are more apt for it than others. The right to travel.
Somebody in here said it was illegal in all states. I didn't know that.
Michigan is a right to travel state, but I mean, you're going to get hassled every freaking time you do it. You don't have to have plates, insurance, or registration if you look at the right to travel. But I don't want to deal with that shit in order to exercise that right.
Yeah, under federal law, you have the right to travel.
Yeah.
You have the right to travel in your conveyance. That doesn't mean your fucking bike. That means your conveyance, whatever that conveyance might be. And since you have that right, there's also another law that says you cannot attach a license or a fee to something that's your right.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't force people to get a license or pay a fee to exercise their right. And if you have the right to travel, then forcing people to get their license is against the law.
I think you're going to lose that court case, though.
Really, you're going to lose it because fucking tyrants don't care. I mean, they don't give a fuck.
I would have still gave it a shot.
Oh, yeah, you got to try something if you're in trouble.
I got nothing better to do with my time.
Oh, cool. What's up, Basic, man?
I know. It's wild that I got in here. That's why I was like, I got to get up here because I've talked to every one of you guys, half of you, and then informed. But I was under the Pete Wallace name. And then I switched to this, and that's when I met all you guys. And then now here y'all are in the same damn room arguing. It's awesome.
Well, and you know what the fun part is that we're not, nobody's,
Yeah, everybody's under control, which is right.
Yeah, and that's my only. That's me in Ohio's only rule. That's me in Ohio's only rule.
Yeah, whatever. Fuck you, Mike.
Fuck you too.
Yeah, the fuck yous have really been to a low number. I'm surprised.
Yeah, sorry, girls. Oily dish, shell, digging chick. If you're still in here, and I know these people have been trying to help you out, but Jack, you've been helping her out with the.
I'm messing with everybody out there.
All right, but I know
just for the record. Just for the record, Ivan is not me. Just for the record.
Stop it.
I tell everybody who I am out there and stuff.
I saw you in the chat the other night.
I'm just some fat guy in Minnesota.
Well, we all are, except for I think Misfit. I think you're the only light one, right?
What?
No, I'm white.
No,
white one?
L-I-G-H-T.
Skinny guy.
Yeah, skinny.
I'm the skinny one. It's all right.
No,
I think
that's not a bad thing, brother.
I think Justin, you're skinny too, aren't you? Down there, 420. You're skinny, fucker, aren't you?
Yeah.
Midwest Misfit can fit in my pocket. Sometimes I carry Midwest Misfit around for protection.
That's
I
because
don't know, man.
your
I'm like
pocket's the
6'1".
size of a fucking laptop.
Hey, no, I might be skinny, but I ain't tiny. I'm like 6'1", so good luck with that.
That's because your freaking back pocket's the size of a fucking laptop.
Well, yeah, that kind of goes with the fat guy pants.
Right? Exactly.
We just gotta fold him up creatively, and he'll fit.
Right? Like my brothers always tease me. When's the hell's the last time you saw your freaking shoes? I said, when the kids pick them up to give them to me. You know? When's the last time you seen your pee-pee? I haven't seen that fucker in a long time.
I'm about to go outside.
We're not going to turn this into a pee-pee, Mike.
All right, sorry, Ohio.
I'm gonna go outside and commit a crime real quick.
All right, just be nice, Jocko.
Make sure there's no victims out there.
Although I will say, I'm slowly working my way out of skinny. I've got my nice winter layer on right now.
Nice.
I'm hoping to just make.
I got my winter layer
a little bit of a winter gap myself, but I'll use that real quick.
Yeah, as soon as it starts getting hot, just the nature of my job, I'll drop 20 pounds over the course of the summer.
Fuck, I wish I could drop 20 pounds.
I'm sure once
I
I'm
still look the same.
I'm sure that'll stop happening by the time I'm like 35 years old, but I'll enjoy it for the time being.
Yeah.
I dropped 50 pounds and I still look the same.
If I lost 5 pounds, y'all think I'm anorexic?
I've got that skinny fat look perfected right now, and I'm okay with that.
My dad at one time weighed like, I don't know, he was like 6'4", 6'3", or whatever, and at one time he weighed like, I don't know, 380 or 375, whatever.
I bet my dad could take your dad.
And for since the early '90s, he's been on this thing, and it's not like a diet; it's just like a way of life. And he just doesn't have he doesn't do flour and sugar anymore, and he's down to like, I don't know, he's been at 225 for forever since the '90s. And I'm like, yeah, I can't do that. I'd miss my fucking pasta. I'd miss all my stuff. Sorry.
Alright, I got a random question since this is the Coptalk chat.
What's up?
How many of you guys, whenever you get pulled over, no matter what, flip your cell phone camera on and just let it run? Just in case.
I don't. I've never done it.
You know, I used to,
I
but
haven't been pulled over in probably 15 years either, though.
No, because I think you're John Goodman.
Well, no, you don't. No, here's the thing, though. There's a way of doing it without being a fucking dick about it. Just fucking turn the thing on and put it in your cup holder. You don't have to, like, hold it in the guy's face. You know? And here's the thing. The past 2 times I've been pulled over was for silly, like, and they were cool both times. I got let go with a warning. I haven't had a lot of negative experience with law enforcement. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't be prepared for the one time that you might. Because anytime you're put in a position with somebody that if you catch a dick, they can fuck you. They can really fuck you and fuck your life up.
In more ways than one, comrade.
You know what I found out? My kid brother was telling me that, I want to say it how he told me. We can't record. We can video them without the audio.
No.
Hang on.
That was shot down.
Not
The
in
whole wiretapping bullshit.
Hang on.
It was shut down federally, Mike.
Really?
Federal law trumps
Yeah.
state laws.
Senate and all that. Yeah, it was a huge thing.
Because I said to him, I go, I got in an argument with a cop one day, and he didn't give me a ticket or nothing, and so I asked him, and I go, hey, can I ask you a question? He says, yeah. I said, what's that thing on your collar there? He says, oh, that's my microphone. I said, well, what? He says, oh, your dashboard cam and my mic. And I said, so let me get this straight. You can videotape me and audio me, but I can't videotape and audio you. How the fuck does that work?
Well, that's because everyone
my brother
knows
told me
that
this.
Rights.
Well, here's what my brother told me. My brother told me I have the right to ask him to shut the audio off.
No, because you're in public. He's a public official. Like the courts have ruled, it's public. He's a public official. You can record, audio and video, and there ain't really crap they can do about it. The problem is most police aren't educated to that.
This is about 4 months ago. He told me this. He said, if you don't want the mic on, you have to just tell them to shut the mic off. Just like they say to you.
He's talking about the cops being mic'd.
And that might be the case.
Yeah, when you're in public, you have no expectation of privacy,
right?
No matter who you are.
But I mean, he's
which
sitting
is
in
weird
his car,
because
presumably. He's not really technically in public. And what the federal courts upheld is that you have the right to film public officials. They didn't say that public officials have the right to film you. So.
Yeah, well, you see all the cops with the dashboard cams and everything, so you are being filmed.
Yeah, but when you're in public, though, you have no expectations of privacy because you have Walmart has cameras, Target has cameras. There's cameras on every street corner.
But they don't have audio, and they're a private. You don't have to go to their stores.
It doesn't matter. I can walk down the street and audio and video record everything I see, and legally, as long as I'm in a public area, you have no right to privacy. It is completely legal. I can use it for whatever I want to. That's just the law.
This is 4 months ago, so I don't know when they changed the law, but
I just think he might have been misinformed on it, but I know for a fact that it's been upheld by the Supreme Court that you are legally allowed to video and audio record public officials in the I can't remember the language exactly, but it's legal. I know Illinois right now is trying to fight that. They're trying to pass some bullshit law fighting that, but I'm not sure if it's gone through or not.
One of my favorite guys in the world is the I don't answer questions guy when when he gets pulled over.
Oh,
Yeah.
the guy from New Hampshire.
That's exactly what I do. And if they give you static, you ask for a sheriff. They'll love you after that.
Yeah.
My favorite is there's a guy that goes through the immigration checkpoints, and he just repeats the questions. They're like, "Where are you coming from today, sir?" He's like, "Where are you coming from today?" He's like, "Are you an American citizen, sir?" Because I'm not sure. Are you an American citizen?
There was one of those I watched where it was
No,
a
it's my
Mexican
favorite
guy,
too.
but he was clearly American. And the guy in the background had the thickest Mexican accent, and he was like, "I don't ask him questions." And it was great.
I like the one where they go through the checkpoint, knowing that they're the checkpoint's 50 miles from the border, and they pull up and they're like, oh, we need to turn around. We don't want to go to Mexico. They're like, well, you're not going to Mexico. And they're like, well, they're just playing it stupid. They're like, we don't have our passports. We can't cross the border. They're like, this isn't a border check. Well, you're border agents. Why are you way out here just fucking with them? That was a great one.
Hell, I have border agents when I go hunting up in Maine. I have border agents. They check our fucking hunting licenses because they work together.
Yep, they're literally just out there hoping to find someone they can take some money from. That's all that is. I mean, literally, if you were talking, park rangers out there that actually maybe knew something about, protecting the herd and making sure that not too many deer are being taken. When you have border patrol agents out there checking people's hunting license, they're just looking to scrape up some money. That's all. They know nothing about.
Well, yeah, probably yeah or no for me, but because they help them out. Because there aren't as many game wardens in the state of Maine that there probably should be.
But it's not their job to help them out. Their job is to look for illegal aliens crossing in the border, not checking people's hunting license.
Yeah, their job is to protect the border, keep illegal aliens from entering, not working over people that are already citizens of the United States for possible hunting violations. That's just
since we're talking about the border, I'm just going to throw this out there, and I'm going to get hate from everybody, including the Midwest. But crossing the border is a victimless crime. I'm sorry.
And now, you know what? To that point, I agree with you. Like, just crossing the border, I'd agree with you.
Well,
are there people I want... See, I kind of fall on both sides of this argument. Are there people I do want to keep out of my country? Yes. Do I think it should be ungodly easy to become a legal immigrant into this country? Fuck yes. I think it should literally be if you can pass a criminal background check and fucking sign the paperwork, welcome to the fucking United States, start paying your fucking taxes and following the goddamn laws and we'll get along just goddamn fine. But do I think we should just let anybody in? Not really, no.
Right, because they don't do it for us, because I have a hard time going to Canada because of a fucking DUI, so I have no problem with that either. Let me ask you a question on the border, and I'm not being funny. So if I'm hunting up at the border, what's the parameters? So do I have to be on the line? Is it a mile from the line? Is it
Like, what do you mean? If you're not crossing the border...
I hunt within fucking yards of the Canadian border.
Did you go into Canada?
No.
Then you didn't. Then the Border Patrol has absolutely no need to be involved.
No.
You should have told
I don't mind.
Is the border marked?
But see,
do they have a big swath cut in the forest or something like that? Is it marked or what?
On most of the logging roads, it's marked. But if you're out in the woods, there are markers, but they're so far apart that if you walked in between them, you can walk in between them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean down here, we have vehicle barriers. Like we don't have fences to keep people out. We have vehicle barriers, basically like just big ass freaking metal crosses with a freaking big metal pipe going in between them, right? So you can get right up on them. And
I have no
I'm not
problem.
saying I have crossed back and forth a bunch of times just as a joke, like jump on one side, jump on the other. I'm not saying I've done that, but I've done that. So.
But you have, haven't you?
I'm with you though, Misfit. I have no problem with anybody wanting to come and live in the United States.
But see, as it is now, we have right. So under the Constitution, it gives the federal government the power to. It gives Congress the power to naturalize immigrants.
Yeah, well,
it doesn't give them the power to limit immigration in any way, though. But they can naturalize immigrants, but they're not allowed to say, "Oh, we're only letting 200,000 people in this year," or "We're only letting 100,000 people in."
Well,
and that's what they do currently. They have a number limit on how many people can come from what different countries, and that's not like tourist visas or anything like that. Like
I totally agree. That's bullshit.
Here's what I don't. Here's how I see it on that. Okay, the majority of my family came from Italy. Okay. And they did it legally. You know, my grandmother and my great grandmother came right, took the boat, went into Ellis Island, and all 9 yards. All right.
Everybody's got that story. Everybody in here.
Good. Isn't that great, though? And what happened? They all came in legally, right? They all learned the language, right?
No, they did
all got a job, right?
That's a myth. That's a myth.
What's a myth?
That all of our ancestors came here legally. That's one of the biggest myths in American history.
I know mine did.
Do you realize how many of our ancestors illegally immigrated here through Canada back in the day? There was no way to stop it.
I don't have any ancestors in Canada.
Well, you might not have any ancestors from Canada, but do you know if you have any people that traveled through Canada illegally immigrating into the United States?
I mean, then why do we call the Italians WAPs without papers?
I'm not saying you did. I'm not saying you did, but do you realize how many Americans have ancestors that immigrated here illegally through Canada? It was so common and so easy to do back in the day.
But I wasn't done yet. I was trying to say that okay, let me break it. I'll break it down to this way. I know for a fact that my family came over illegally. Okay. So, and they all learned the language, and they all got a job, and they all, were good members of society. Okay. I don't care who comes here. Here's the thing. Do it legally, know the language, and become a good fucking person in the society, and you can fucking stay. If you can't, get the fuck out. Period.
I don't think you could push the language part. I mean, that's First Amendment. I get what you're saying, but I don't know if you could push the language bit.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Well, I think that, again, when in Rome, do as the Romans. So, like, when I go to wherever for a vacation, right, I'm going to do my best to learn the fucking language, right? So.
Yeah, but you're going to be lost. You ain't going to know it, though.
Yeah,
you're going for vacation.
Under that,
if someone comes here and they don't know how to speak English, it is to their benefit, both financial and social, to learn the language.
Yeah, but I don't know if we can physically.
Benefit, when I'm working beside him, and I say, "Hey, look out for this, look out for that," and he's not understanding me, and I don't know how to say it in whatever language, be it Spanish, be it French, be it whatever. Okay.
It's the hand of fate.
You know what I'm saying? I can't say look out because he's not. You know what I mean?
That's just the hand of fate, man. Nothing you can do about that. That's what if he's deaf?
Bullshit.
What if he's deaf?
You don't know sign language, do you?
You're talking about letting somebody into our country and you expect them to follow our rules, but we're gonna push extra rules on. I don't know. I'm just saying constitutionally. I don't know if we could say we might be able to give them a flyer and go, hey, look, here's some really good English teachers. You should probably learn this shit. I get what you're saying, but I don't know if legally we can make them.
I mean, I met a guy from fucking Kansas City. I don't know what the fuck he was doing out here, but I couldn't stand him. I doubt that he fucking even speaks English. He was fucking born in Kansas City. I mean, what kind of person I'm talking about, But I fucking force him to speak in a more legible English? No.
I mean, do the Amish, do you consider that English?
I've never spoken to an Amish person, so I have no idea.
They speak like a modified Dutch.
I gotta go again. I gotta get to bed.
Good night,
Scott.
Scott. Hanging with us, brother.
Thanks, Scott.
Thanks for letting me beat up on you.
It's been great.
See ya.
Later, Scott.
All right, we'll see you guys.
All right, brother.
Hey, how about Sunday night? We'll see you Sunday night.
And I will say the attitude of when in Rome, do as the Romans is dangerous. It's essentially the argument is, if you break it down in other terms, is whatever the popular opinion is that's what you should do.
It would be nationalism, right?
I don't mean to sound about
When in Germany, do as the Nazis do.
No. See, now you're going too far, Ohio.
Well, the French have made a lot.
What I mean by that.
How come I go too far, but you're the one that makes the ignorant comment, Mike? Come on, man, give me a break.
Yeah, Mike, I'm pretty sure those Jews probably broke a fucking law or two, and they deserve to be in those camps.
Yeah.
They should have petitioned their government for change.
What the fuck is wrong with you people?
Too far.
What is wrong with you people? All right, listen. What I mean by that, Misfit, right, is like, while I'm in their country, okay, I'm gonna follow their laws, their regulations.
But there is no law that says you must speak English. We have the First Amendment, which was...
No, there isn't. I'm agreeing with you 100%. I know there isn't. But
as a country, we don't even have an official language.
And English is a fucked up language to begin with. I'd much rather it be Spanish.
Yeah.
I don't, because I don't speak fluent Spanish, so that would
You'll
save
learn.
New
So,
languages are amazing, really.
And we'd have to deport your ass for not knowing our language.
right. But you know what I'm saying, Misfit? I just...
The
I
danger
know
of that argument is like, okay, so say we live in the States here, and you say, well, you know, what the majority of people think is the customary way there is how things should be. So say over the course of time that, you know, 75 to 80% of the people in the country believe that, like, super strict gun control is what we need. I mean, when you're in Rome, do as the Romans. If it's what they feel we need, it's obviously what we need. You know, just because it's the popular idea and it's the popular thing to do doesn't make it right.
Yeah. I mean, if you're in Canada, you speak French or another language or what? They speak multiple languages up there.
Yeah, they do. They speak.
And it's a functioning country. There's nothing wrong with it, right? They haven't fallen to pieces. Nothing bad has happened.
Okay, I'm going to pull one of these Mike smart-ass moves or whatever. What do you call it, Mike? What do you say before you say it? You're like, not trying to be a smart-ass, but what if this? If you don't speak, I'm cracking myself up already. If you don't speak English in the United States, then you should not be allowed to have a driver's license. What's the reasoning behind it?
Can't read
all of our signs, you can't read the street signs. All the signs are in English, so you don't know what STOP means. Right? You don't know what yield means, or you don't know what exit to get off. If you can't read in English, then you shouldn't be allowed to drive. What about that? You agree with me, Mike?
There's international symbols, though. The stop sign is an octagon.
Yeah, I would say there's international. They use symbols.
No, the stop sign is not an octagon in other countries.
No, it's not.
No, not here, but it's the reason there's like a standardized pattern of like signs is for, believe it or not, there's people who can't read that aren't Hispanic out there driving on the road right now. It's
You
scary.
can currently take a driver's license test now, 133 different languages.
Yeah, I was just about to bring that up.
The only language the signs are in English. How does that make sense?
They recognize the patterns, the signs.
I mean,
Hopefully
what if someone's, does that mean that someone who's completely, like a completely functioning human, but happens to be like really bad dyslexic when it comes to reading, shouldn't be allowed to have a driver's license? When they're probably
Probably because they're the ones going the wrong way on the freeway at 2 o'clock in the morning because they're drunk. They can't read.
well, they're drunk driving. I mean, that's the crime.
Because them not being able to read drove them to drinking because they're so fucking depressed.
Sorry, officer, I couldn't read the sign, so I don't speak English.
Yeah, tell the officer I'm dyslexic. I couldn't read the sign. I didn't know I was going the wrong way. See if that keeps your ass out of jail.
I think I might have just like dug up a dark memory for Ohio Wolverine there.
I think you do too.
He was battling a dyslexia and got the DUI.
Yeah, he was driving on the wrong side of the road.
Ohio.
Hey, I'm a dyslexic atheist. There is no dog.
No, but I just, it makes life a lot easier. all I'm saying.
For you.
For lots of
It's not all about making life easier for you.
Sure it is. It's all about me. What the fuck's wrong with you? You didn't know that?
No, I didn't.
Hey, come on now. It starts with me. Actually, it starts with the wife. Then it goes to the kids. Then it goes to me. So I'm like third in line here.
Yeah, no, I believe, now correct me if I'm wrong, let's go back to when everybody was coming into New York there. Didn't everybody had their own language, right? It was big melting pots of language. Nobody was speaking English, really. The British.
I guess it would depend on what point, because we pretty much came over in waves. Like, we started building the railroad in the southeast. That was all the Scottish and Irish mainly, and people from China. And then when, oh God, I'm trying to think of all the other waves. When we had the big gold rush, it was a lot of well, you know what I'm saying. I'm not particularly skilled in that area at time, but yeah, I guess it would depend on what point. But yeah, there was a buttload of people who couldn't speak English.
Yep.
I can't even understand.
But the thing about it was there was always a pressure from society to assimilate, you know, and it seems like as a collective society we're not pushing people to assimilate like back in the day, you know, and that's part of the reason the country's so divided, because everybody has different ways of thinking, and you don't have a collective consciousness like we used to have.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good thing, actually.
Yeah, that sounds incredibly, I don't want to say socialistic, but I know what you're saying, but
Right.
it came
I
out
don't
a
mean it
little
like
off.
in a socialistic way or like a real right-wing way. I mean more like in a patriotic way. And then I also understand other, you know, we're wanting to let people into the country, but the way it is now, we don't know who's coming into the country. You know, so.
Would you let jihadists in?
Not I.
No. How do you determine that?
They're already here.
Yeah, how do you determine that? There's no question, is there, on the test? Are you a jihadist? Because all Muslims are supposed to be in jihad right now, right? So how do you know? You just ask them if they're Muslim and assume they're jihadists?
Well, in all fairness, if we believe me, fucking radical Islamists are the scum of the earth. But in all fairness, if we wanted to like get nitpicky about things that are said in holy books, we could go at pretty much every religion's holy scripture and just tear it to pieces. I could sit here and just quote things all night long from literally every holy script that's ever been written that would just make you think that anyone that would follow that's just scum of the earth.
For God's sakes, the Pope used to have fucking whores. I mean, let's get realistic. I mean, really.
No, the difference is that the vast majority of Christians, and I'm not a Christian by any means, have given up those most of the archaic views in the Bible. Where,
I'll give that to Christians, that's for sure. They've matured. That's what it's called. That religion has matured, and then but the Muslims want to take us back to the Stone Age still. Right. You know, they still want to stone your daughter if she, you know, on the doorstep. So.
Not to generalize, I wouldn't say the whole population's like that, but.
No, of course not. No, yeah, I'm not whenever I'm talking, I'm not blanket stating. And if I don't like a cop, I don't like to see police shooting, especially homeless people and people that are mentally ill. I can't stand that. It drives me fucking crazy. But I'm not blanket stating all cops, you know, that they're all bad.
What's wrong with being mentally ill?
Well, nothing unless you get a bullet for it.
I will not say that.
The penalty for being mentally ill should not be a bullet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I said, like, they had a cop get shot here in Boston last week. And,
I will say that if there are as many good cops as we like to think there are, that just goes to show how freaking broke the system is, that we don't hear about far more whistleblowers and far more guys turning in their dirty brothers. I mean, it's just...
I think that's all high five, and once you're into that little fraternity, it's like a frat house kind of a mentality, and it's all high five and hey, we fucked up that guy, didn't we? Hey, all right, yeah. They're all drinking in the bar afterwards.
It's almost like it's essentially like trying to get out of a gang. I mean, think about a group of people that you really don't want to cross. I mean, if you cross that group of people, I mean, there are very few groups of individuals that have the same kind of power to just mess with your life on a day-to-day basis and get away with it, essentially. I mean, it's a scary group of people to go against and to talk bad about and to cross.
I'd worry a little more about judges, but yeah, cops are right there.
Well, they go golfing with the judges on the weekend, with the prosecuting attorneys and the defense lawyers.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
all one system.
Yep.
It's just like I seen a video a couple days ago where a police officer was in front of a judge testifying or whatever, and he perjured himself. He was lying, and the judge caught it, and the judge demanded that the prosecuting attorney bring up charges on the police officer, and the prosecuting attorney made every excuse up that she possibly could to say, well, he made a mistake, and the judge didn't care.
Yeah.
And he wanted the charges brought up. Well, guess what they did to that judge? They moved him from criminal court to civil court.
Mm-hmm. That's probably an exception, not the rule.
But did anyone see that, though? I mean, You get one judge that stands up against the system, and look what happens to him.
Yeah.
He gets thrown out of his own courtroom and put in a different courtroom.
Yeah, typically, the argument ends with the prosecuting attorney who has got to remain friends with the cops because they work together hand in hand. They can't be...
Yeah, but right there in front of everyone, he broke the law and everyone's seen it, and then they refused to uphold the law because he's got a badge.
Yeah, he's got to protect them. Even a prosecuting attorney has to protect a cop, even if a cop did something bad, just because to keep that friendship. Otherwise, he's not going to get the big busts and the stuff like that to I'm probably not saying it right, but there's something they do together that they have to have each other. If you're a prosecuting attorney and you start getting cops in trouble, that's not to say that no cops ever get in trouble. Certainly.
Hey, look, extra rights. I get extra rights.
You want to see my ID?
Your ID?
Yeah, he's got extra rights. I seen a badge. He wants my ID, my papers. What else? Well, what else do you want?
It ain't your badge you want. You want to see it from them anyways. It's their fucking creds. The badge don't mean shit.
Yeah, it's their card you want to see.
Yep. Anybody can have a fucking badge in their back pocket. You say, "May I see your credentials, please?"
Well, my dad was a police officer. He was a sheriff, and he ended up quitting because he wrote he was pressured into quitting. He was in West Virginia because he wrote a ticket to the mayor's son for drunk driving, and everybody just kind of turned on him, and he quit. So there are good cops out there, and this was before I was born, so I'm going off stories from the family, so that could be complete bullshit. I don't know for sure. But, I don't think all cops are bad. I would say the majority of them got into that line of work to do good. So, but if it's the system that takes somebody who's good and turns them into a dick like the rest of them, I'm not quite sure how that works. So I've talked to a lot of good cops who I don't know them personally, but they seem good. Like, they seem to be all right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've been stopped metal detecting a bunch of times, at night by cops, and most of them are pretty cool. They're like, somebody called, so I said, and I always make it easy for them. I said, hey, that's because they don't always call. 6 nights I can go to this one place, even though it's a public area, but if I got a headlight on and I'm digging and it's probably a school, then all of a sudden it raises eyebrows if they're peeking out their kitchen window and just happen to catch my light and they call the cops. So I make it easy on the cops, say, hey, yeah, I can move along and then I'll come back tomorrow. He goes, okay, that's cool, man, thanks. That way those people don't have to worry about me over there and it's not a big deal.
Burying bodies, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, they don't know what you're doing, right? You're looking out your window and you got somebody digging at the school, and
The way I am, though, that cop would have showed up and he would have, what you doing? If you were on public property, I would have told him to kiss my ass, honestly. I mean, they have no legal right to ask you to leave. I get that they have to come check it out. But at that point, they should just leave you alone.
And that's the difference between the relationship in a small town where we got no crime and stuff like that. These guys are not really busting balls like that. They aren't, you know, they're pretty nice, you know. And they probably...
But there's another thing, though. That's the indoctrination of the see something, say something thing. Oh, my God, what's he up to? Call the police.
Yeah.
Mind your own fucking business every once in a while.
Hey,
No, that can go both ways, though, for you, okay, Ohio? I agree. I tend to agree with you, okay?
I thought you were asleep.
That can go both ways, okay? Because, you know, you have your crime watch neighborhoods, right? So if you see something out of the norm, but like Will just said, he's there 6 nights out of 7, or if he was there 6 nights out of 7, okay? But, all right, so it's 3:15 in the morning, okay?
I got a light on my head
and not because I'm nosy. I just know the kids next door to me, they're always up to all hours in the morning, so who cares? Have fun, knock yourself out. Okay, so, all right. But, you know, I see a guy next door or that I know he's not there or whatever, and, you know, whatever the case may be, yeah, it's going to perk my interest, and I'm going to, you know, I might look at him and see what's going on. Why wouldn't I?
Well, you wouldn't, because many people are shot now when that call comes. Let's say the guy walked up and my pinpointer looks like a fucking gun on my hip, I'll tell you that.
Right.
So you call the cops, being the nosy neighbor, cop comes up, sees a gun on my hip, well, I happen to be pulling it out and showing him that it's only my pointer, he shoots me, I'm dead. Now, don't you feel fucking bad for calling the cops for nothing?
That the person who called the cops probably didn't own a gun, so they were scared or calling for their protectors, you know.
Well, I don't...
Here's the thing.
You got your metal detector in your hand. You got your metal detector in your hand. It's dark. You got your headphones on, listening for the beeps. The cops are yelling, "Drop the gun! Drop the gun!" You can't hear them. Bang! You're dead.
Yeah, I got headphones on.
Good night, Tish. Good night, Michelle. We'll see you tomorrow night.
Whatever happened to, like, if you see something, like, you see your neighbors out doing something, or you see something, whatever, just going out and talking to your neighbors. Like,
Well, that's what I'm saying.
what's
I'd
up?
probably see. That's what I would do. I would ask. You know.
That's exactly what I do. If I see something, I don't say something. I go and I fucking grab my gun belt, I put it on, I grab a fucking rifle, fucking put it over my shoulder, and then I go walk out and check it, see what's going on.
And say, hey, what's up?
Yeah.
You know.
And then maybe it's most of the time it's my fucking neighbor walking down the street at night, and I fucking talk to him, and I didn't know it was you. Sorry. He's like, oh, good on you for looking out.
Yeah, I'm not as forward.
With my fucking pistol and my rifle, and he says, all right, good. Well, I know this guy's fucking making sure the neighborhood's safe.
Right. See, that's what I'm saying. You know, that's when being quote unquote nosy is a good thing.
It's not always humans that get shot either. I mean, just in Milwaukee alone, I think they've shot over 500 dogs in 1 year. Just 500 fucking people's dogs, man. Those are like people's kids.
Do they deserve it?
What do you mean, did they deserve it? How can a dog...
Fuck that, Mike.
How can a dog deserve it?
It's on your...
But see, on the other hand of what I was saying...
what? What do you mean, how could it? You didn't really just ask me that fucking question, did you?
Yeah. How is it?
Let me ask you.
On your own property. How could it?
Let me explain something to you. I'm walking down the street, and you're walking your fucking whatever. Your chow.
It's not my fault you're a fucking coward and afraid of a dog.
Shut up and let me finish. You're walking your chow. You're walking whatever dog you got, right? Yeah. And let's just say it's a chow, right? Good sized dog, right? And it gets away from you or whatever, and I'm fucking mowing my fucking lawn. All right? And that thing charges at me and starts biting me. Because I can't carry a gun, I have a knife on my belt. You really don't think for half a second I'm going to stab the piss out of that fucking thing?
Right, but that dog's doing something. It's doing something to you.
The biggest case that hit the news and it went big was the guy. There was a 3-year-old miss. I think was it 3? Are you guys know what I'm talking about? It was like a 3-year-old went missing, and the cop went into somebody's backyard without permission or anything. He opened the gate, and it had like a border collie looking dog. It wasn't a bull mastiff or nothing, and he just shot it. It wasn't even close to him. It wasn't attacking. He just straight shot it.
That's how they train them. That's how they train them, man. If there's any doubt in your head at all, shoot the dog.
And that's fine. I agree with you there. But if a guy gets bit or the dog's charging, take the fucker down instead of animal. It's a fucking
I
animal.
agree with Mike. I mean, if the dog's being aggressive, then shoot it.
Let me tell you something.
I've shot 2 dogs, right? One was in my fucking backyard. It was fucking trying to fight my dog. Like, it got on. It's on my property. I'm not going onto someone else's property.
That's
it's on my
different than a
property.
cop coming to your property, dude. That's different than a fucking cop coming to your property and getting your fucking shot.
I mean, if the dog's fucking aggressive, then yeah, you can fucking shoot it. I mean, someone coming onto my property and my sure, my dog's gonna act pretty aggressive.
Right.
Asking like Matt and
Andrew, shoot your dog.
In that instance, the guy
you guys all know about Matt and Andrea, right? Resist Tyranny and Space Funds. My dog is fucking leery of Matt. She doesn't like big dudes with beards for some reason, even though I'm a pretty big dude with a beard. She doesn't fucking trust him. And, she acts pretty aggressive, and she'll sit down at his feet, but if he tries to fucking touch her, like, she'll snap at him, yeah, so, like, I don't know. My dog would probably be pretty fucking aggressive if a cop comes onto my property. But that still doesn't give him the right to shoot someone.
No, but let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. So, whatever, the cop comes on your property, whatever. Who knows? You might have called them, whatever. Well, not you, Justin.
The nosy neighbor called.
Whatever. Okay, so the cop walks on your property.
Yep.
Okay? And now the fucking dog is charging the cop. He shoots it,
That's it?
I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah. Well,
as long as it's not a fucking chihuahua. As long as it's not a fucking chihuahua. You know what I'm saying?
But what if the dog? What if the dog was just running up to the cop and they don't even know how to read a dog? If a dog's tail is wagging, he's not aggressive. He's happy. He's happy to see you. He wants to play. My dog will bark at me like I'm getting ready to attack the whole family. But he knows he's playing with me because his tail is wagging. I know how to read a dog.
And
I know how to read dogs too, and I'm going to be honest with you, okay? I only allow dogs to come within 5 feet of me, whether they're running at me, whether they're barking at me, and anything after 5 feet, too bad. Not my responsibility to run away. It's their responsibility not to fucking bite.
Well, I would never have you over to my house, considering my dog might come within 5 feet of you, right?
Not in an aggressive manner. If your dog come at me, I meant in an aggressive manner, Will. If your dog comes at me in an aggressive manner, yeah, I'm fucking...
Yeah, well, typically when the cops come out, it's dark out, and you don't get the... And, listen, I know it's a quick decision they got to make and all that, but one, they're uninvited. They ain't fucking invited guests coming to your house, right? So... Already, they're on your property. They come in and shoot your dog. I mean, obviously, you don't have the love for dogs. Obviously,
I have a dog my whole life. I've had a dog my whole life. But
I don't know. It just goes to show what pussies cops are. Cops are the biggest fucking cowards, and they're the biggest fucking pussies on earth.
Do you guys know the story I was talking about, where the guy was at the door? Now, what if that guy was home and he had a gun in the house? All of a sudden, he heard a gunshot in his backyard or his dog yelping. First thing I would do is grab my gun and walk outside. I heard a shot real close to my fucking house. What would have happened if that would have went down?
He probably would have got shot.
Then the cop would have shot the owner of that homeowner. It would have all been justified.
And what would have happened if that guy would have shot the cop? Because I don't know for sure if I would have or not. Somebody's on my property shooting shit for no good reason. Nothing's going on. My dog's just in the backyard taking a shit. I don't know if I would have come out shooting. Like, what the fuck?
Well, the first question
is, I don't condone shooting cops, but if a cop shot my dog, I'm just saying, all bets are off.
I want to know why. I saw the video.
Are delivered every day by delivery drivers, and they never kill a dog.
Right, postman.
It's like that Christmas song, man. Shot my dog.
You'd be surprised how many postmen hurt dogs.
I don't got a problem with you shooting Mason in the eyes. That's not a problem. I'm talking about shooting.
Surprised how many postmen hurt dogs. But here's the funny part. Not the funny part, but here's the part that's why did that cop go? Now, that video didn't show that he knocked on the door to see if the homeowner was home. But whether he did or not is irrelevant. Why did he go through that gate to begin with?
Yeah, especially since that child wouldn't be tall enough to open it.
No,
That's
hold
what I
on.
want to know.
I'll tell you why
You know what I'm
exactly.
saying?
There's actually video of the guy whose dog who got shot and the officer that shot it having a discussion after the fact. They did not knock on the door. They were searching yard through yard because they had had a report of a missing child in the area.
So look over the fence.
But he did look over the fence. He entered the
No,
yard.
I'm just saying he should have looked over the fence instead of going through the fucking gate. You know what I'm saying? If he's looking for a little girl.
All right, so
go ahead.
Okay.
No, I just want to know why he was. No, I'm not.
At least
I saw that
destruction
on
of
YouTube.
property.
He was wrong. He was wrong. So.
How is he not charged with at least destruction of property then?
Oh, well, cruelty to the animal, something. I know. I hear you.
I mean, he was 20 yards away from the dog. It's not like he was close to the dog when he shot it.
Right.
The shell casings were 20 yards from where the dog was shot, where the dog lay dead.
And I'm sorry.
And maybe the dog and the dog might have even took a few steps after it got shot, so maybe it was even further away. What about the cop that called the dog and the dog that was loose in the drainage ditch or whatever, and he called him, whistled at him, and when the dog came up, then he shot him? Did you see that one?
No.
There was the one where there's a truck sitting in the guy's front yard. He had his pit bull hooked to the hitch while he walked in the house, and the cops drove up, they pinned him to the ground and shot it.
Really?
Yeah, that one's all on video too. That's fucked up. Like one of the
Seriously?
neighbors seen it and they recorded it.
Yeah, it's just it's all over the internet, man.
They come out with a
I thought you
catch
guys were
pole.
talking about justified. Other than that one that we just were talking about.
This is
Well,
like
that's the
an
thing, though, is
epidemic
they're all
going
found
on.
justified. It doesn't matter what the video says. It doesn't matter what eyewitnesses say.
Oh, I don't mean justified by
Well, no, I get what you're
politicians.
saying.
I mean justified by. You know what I mean?
If your house is accidentally raided, say they got the wrong number and they raid your house accidentally with a SWAT team, and you have a dog, your dog is dead. The SWAT team will shoot. That's the first thing they do is shoot the dog. In every raid, they shoot the dog. No matter if the dog's laying on the couch, sitting there chilling up, chewing a bone, they're gonna shoot that fucking dog.
Guess what? If these cops know that they're held accountable for shit that goes down when they fuck up and get wrong addresses, guess what? They're not gonna get fucking wrong addresses anymore. It's
Why
not
don't
gonna
they
fucking.
just shoot? Why don't they shoot
Like-
Sparky with the fucking taser if they're scared, or pepper spray that sumbitch?
My brother's house.
Why don't they get the right house in the first place?
That's
My
what I'm
brother was
saying.
the
If they're
my
actually
brother was a-
if they're
my brother
actually
was a-
held accountable for their actions when they fuck up, they won't get the wrong fucking address anymore. If a couple of those motherfuckers go to jail because they shot a motherfucker in the wrong house, they're not going to the wrong address anymore. If you throw a couple motherfuckers in Gen Pop because they shot someone who didn't need to get shot, they're not fucking up anymore. It's not happening.
my brother, who's a cop, his house is being broken into, and he was working at the time, and so the chief called him and he says, "We got a call that your house is being broken into." He says, "Okay, but do not send anybody in that house." And he said, "Why?" He says, "Because my dog will tear him apart and he'll probably have to shoot him." He says, "So I don't want my dog dead, so do not send him in the house." Well, here's the problem with that. So the guy breaks in the house, right? So my brother has one of those dogs where you can come in the house, you just can't leave without the owner being with you. So when the guy tried to fucking leave, the fucking dog tore the guy apart. Literally, I mean, and then once my brother got there, of course my brother controlled the dog, but this guy took over more than 200 and something stitches in his body. And then he had the balls to try to sue my brother. Imagine that.
Yeah, that's some shit.
It's an unfortunate byproduct.
But at least my
of
brother was
living
smart
in-
enough to tell him, don't let the cop go in the house because, he would have had no choice.
You can't put a beware sign up either, because then they say, well, your dog was aggressive.
Right.
That's
Now-
some bullshit.
Let me ask you this, Mike. Have you ever lived anywhere besides Massachusetts?
No.
Just out of curiosity. See, I honestly, because because Massachusetts is one of the worst states in the union when it comes to laws. It really is.
Absolutely.
You've gotten used to living underneath this bullshit oppression essentially your entire life. You just kind of got numb to it. You're like, well, fuck it, it's part of life. Or if you came out to some of these states out in the Midwest where we don't have that, but I think you'd have a lot more faith and your fellow man to govern themselves and not need like government having a say in everything.
Yeah, I'm in Michigan, and we're pretty good. Like our cops are fairly good. We have a couple pockets of police officers that aren't educated on certain laws, like open carry, for instance. We had a huge deal with open carry. But other than that, our police are. I haven't had any major issues with them.
I'm not even just talking about police in general. I just mean the attitude of government,
I mean,
state to state. Where,
That's that narcotic squad hit your house at night.
like for instance, man, I had last year. I'm part of an online community that I moderate, and a bunch of us met up in Missouri last year for a week-long shoot. And we had one guy that came out of Southern California. He'd lived in Southern California his entire life. He drove up to Oregon, actually, picked up another one of our members, and they carpooled all the way out from Oregon to Missouri. After spending like 2 or 3 weeks in a place that wasn't so strictly controlled like Southern California is, he's lived in Oregon ever since. Like, he couldn't bring himself to go fucking back to it.
California.
Like, he literally found a place in Oregon, went back to California for a week to get his stuff, and he was done. Like, I didn't really think it would open your mind to like what's possible with this without constant government regulation from every angle.
And here's the fun part, Misfit, right? I live approximately 2 miles from the New Hampshire border, where I can, but that's
you live
changing.
2 miles from freedom. You won't make that journey.
It's all changing up there too, because what's happening is that as they call us here on the East Coast, massholes.
Yep. You guys move. You guys move to get away from the bullshit in your state, and then you end up electing the exact same kind of politicians
in somebody else's state.
Shit. Yep, in somebody else's state that brought on the shit that ruined your original state.
It's so split up because like Southern New Hampshire is like the masshole transfers they call us, right? So Southern New Hampshire is still that Massachusetts mindset. And as you get further north, of course you get past the capital and Concord. It's they call us massholes for a reason.
The trick is to find a state that already has good laws, but is still shitty enough that no one will ever want to move there. That's
Michigan. It's Michigan.
No,
Maine's not bad either.
Michigan's got some bullshit laws. I mean,
Maine's got like the smallest amount of people in the fucking
It's
state.
illegal for us to chain an alligator to our fire hydrant.
Like for instance, don't you guys still have a pistol registry?
Yeah, when you buy it, it has to be registered, but we're much more lax than almost every other front of gun ownership.
Thank you. Anything that involves the word registry in my firearms, no.
Oh, I have to do that with my fucking shotgun.
Really?
But it's not with the police department. It's with, well, you ready for this one? It's some kind of safety board or something, which...
Yeah, it's you have to have a Massachusetts, like, firearms buyer, like, I have friends that are out of Massachusetts. It's like a firearms like safety course that you have to take, and then you go.
No, that's for a sidearm. I'm just mean for a shotgun.
Oh shit! There's
two separate laws, because I can't own a handgun here, so I can have all the long guns I want, but I'm still supposed to register my shotgun, my muzzleloader. I got my grandfather's old 8mm Mauser.
Why don't you just go vote and change those laws?
I'm trying. I belong to GOAL.
The sad part is
Gun Owners Action League out in Massachusetts. So yeah, I'm trying to do that. Oh, I should say we.
Yeah, your long gun isn't really registered unless you buy it brand new from a dealer. Then you got to go through the background check and everything. But I don't buy from the dealer. I buy from my buddies, like gun swaps, and for that reason. But handguns, yeah, they're registered, which I'm not. I don't agree with, but I also want to own a handgun, so I'll jump through that loop, I guess, for now.
That's why I can't understand, Misfit. When you look at like Guns and Ammo magazine, they talk about the best gun states, and Ohio is like 34th or some bullshit
we
like
don't
that.
have any of that stupid bullshit. We don't have any of that stupid bullshit here.
Any of that shit, yeah. So we got
You know
open
what's
carry, we got concealed carry, we got no restrictions on magazines, we got silencers now, we got, it's like, Ohio's one of the best states to own a gun in, and we're ranked 34th, It's like the only thing we don't have is constitutional carry. We have open carry and concealed carry, but that's on the way,
See, we have constitutional carry here. You can strap your fucking shotgun to your back and walk down the street.
No, you're mistaken.
No, that's not constitutional carry.
It's open carry.
That's open carry.
Okay, and then I'm not catching the difference here. Constitutional carry is
Means I can conceal carry my fucking handgun with no permit.
Gotcha.
You can walk into a gun store, you can buy a fucking gun, walk out, and put it under your belt, and everything's all set.
Justin lives in a constitutional carry state in Arizona.
There's
He
actually
can carry a gun however he wants.
Vermont's
actually-
constitutional too.
they're working on a bill right now in the Ohio Senate, I believe, for constitutional carry as we speak.
Massachusetts, you can open carry, but right in the, I swear to God, you can look it up. Right in the thing, it says, I'm paraphrasing, but it says, strongly urged against for the open carry. It really does. You don't need a special permit to conceal, because I know other states you need a special permit to conceal. When you go get your license in Massachusetts, it's automatic that it's a concealed permit.
That's because you don't have open carry.
Right.
See, Ohio has open
here's what
carry.
they changed. Here's what they changed for the. Now there used to be two separate licenses. It used to be a license to carry a handgun, and then for guys like me who can't, there used to be an FID card, federal identification, whatever the hell it stands for. Okay. And what it was is that they used to call it shall issue, quote unquote, shall issue, where they couldn't, unless you were a felon, they couldn't deny you, okay, a right to.
Now is it a May issue
buy a
now?
shotgun. Now that they've passed that fucking stupid thing out in August, when my FID card runs out in 5 years, because it's only good for 6. So in 5 years, if the chief don't like me, or they go back and they look in my record and they decide they don't want me to own a gun, they have the right to tell me I can't have my shotguns down too.
So they went from a shall issue to a may issue state.
So now, right. So now this is the reason why I didn't even tell them that I own the fucking shotguns.
Now see, what's funny is, like Ohio, you get a permit for concealed carry, but you can open carry if you want without a permit.
That's the same way in Michigan.
We're ranked like 34th in the state or in the country. Texas is ranked higher than us, but Texas doesn't have open carry of a pistol, and they're trying to pass a law now in Texas for open carry pistol, but it's going to be open carry with a permit.
Right.
A permit to open carry in Texas. That's just crazy.
They're tacking it onto the concealed carry permit, aren't they?
And that's why those guys down in Texas, you're seeing them. That's why those guys are in Texas with the shotguns and AR strapped to their back to prove a point.
Yep.
Right, to prove a point. Yeah, it's just.
But
it's just
they're
stupid.
also hurting at the
Yeah,
same
all
time.
they're
They're trying to
doing in
prove a
Texas-
point. They're hurting it at the same time. So
They're not hurting shit. What they're doing in Texas is they're only letting people who have their concealed carry. Now you can open carry if you have your concealed carry license.
Right. That's what I understood, because I just watched what the hell is Not Enough Ammo's guy's video last night or the night before, and they were talking about it. And from my understanding of what they were saying was it was tacked on to the concealed carry. I could be wrong. I might be misinformed, but that's what I picked up from them having the conversation.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. It's tacked onto the concealed carry. So if you have your permit to conceal carry, you can also open carry. But if a cop comes up to you, you're required to show that permit.
Yeah,
Whereas
because
here, if a fucking cop comes up to you and sees your gun, you go flip him the bird and tell him to fuck off.
Yeah, guns don't fucking mean crime. That's a joke.
but to get back to what you were saying, Misfit, in Massachusetts, yes, I have to go if I was eligible to carry a handgun, I would have to go to a, I think it's a 2-hour-long class or some stupid fool of shit like that. Take a class. They charge me $100, and then I gotta wait 14 days, I think it is. Let them do the background. Now here's the other thing about the background I don't get. So I go to a dealer and I buy a shotgun, okay? And they call, as you guys know, they call the FBI. They do your background check. Boom. They say, yeah, he's good, or no, he's not. So why? I don't have to wait 14 days to buy a shotgun. I walk in, walk out. Why do they make these guys with handguns wait is beyond me. You know
Here in
what I mean?
Ohio, if I want a gun, ideally, I find a private seller, and I go meet Mr. Joe Blow. I say, hey, Mr. Joe Blow, here's your money. Mr. Joe Blow goes, here's your gun. We shake hands, and we walk off on our lives. If I have to go to a store, I walk and I say, which one do I want? I like that one. Give it to me. Fill out a 4473. 10 minutes later, I walk out the door with my gun.
Yep.
I mean, that's
how it is in Vermont, too.
And what happens if you take Mr. Joe Blow's gun and shoot somebody and then bury it with the body?
There is.
They uncover it and find out Joe Blow.
In my state, I do not have to, as long as I have no reason to believe he's a felon, I have absolutely no obligation under the law to demand any ID, or do I have any, is there any recourse that can come back onto me?
Yeah.
See,
Plus, there's no registry, so they don't know if it's your gun or Joe Blow's gun. They won't know it's Joe Blow's gun to begin with because there's no registry.
There's no registry.
Here in Arizona, you know, I've been arrested for crimes before, right? I've several times, right? So anytime I try to go get a fucking gun, it's not that I fail the next check. They just make me wait. They don't pass me right away. I gotta fucking wait that 2 weeks. Nix doesn't get back to the gun shop, and so I get to go and I get to fucking pick it up.
You get delayed.
I get delayed. That's it. Right, so I always get delayed every single time I go to fucking buy a gun. I'm legal to buy a gun, they just fucking delay me because I've been arrested before several fucking times.
Yeah, but how
I don't even mess around with the gun shops anymore.
How do you
I just
protect
go.
yourself, though? What if I sell my gun to Ohio? Ohio commits a crime, kills somebody, but the gun's registered in my name. He buries the gun.
Do you have a registry in Michigan?
Yeah, I think. Well, I don't know.
So if you go sale, though, it's your sale. You can say, I need to see your ID. I'm going to write you a receipt, and you're going to sign it. And if I say no, you say, well, then I ain't selling you the fucking gun.
Yeah. Exactly.
Every gun that I've ever sold,
I got it off an arms list, and I showed up to the girl's house, and you know, she asked me if I'd sign a bill of sale, and I said sure. You know, write the serial number of the gun down. We write both our driver's license number down on it, and fucking sign it.
And
the
one guy
who said
he just shakes hand and that's all. So I mean, that leaves yourself.
Well, I think that's all we need here in Arizona because there's no registry. I mean, I'd more lean towards the bill of sale if there was a registry and you could do private party. Like if that gun's registered to me and this person like is supposed to go get it registered to him within a certain amount of time or something like that, then I'd be worried about a bill of sale. But since there's no registry, it doesn't matter. They don't know that that's my gun because there's no registry, and there shouldn't be a registry.
See, here in Massachusetts, you can't do a private. You need they call it an FFL, and if you're not a licensed FFL, you ain't doing it. For a hand.
Now, what if somebody steals your gun? How do you prove it's yours if they find a bunch of guns and
my gun?
No, I'm talking to the Arizona guys.
Oh.
I mean, what if somebody comes in, burglarizes your house? Okay, now they've arrested this guy downtown. They got a bunch of guns that he had on him.
Well, if you own guns, if you're smart about it, you need to have the serial numbers for said guns written down somewhere for your records. I'll tell you that much right now.
Okay, you just keep your own.
I don't. I disagree with that.
Okay.
I'm not going to write down serial numbers of all the guns I own. I'm sorry.
Dude, if they get stolen, you have no way of proving that they're yours. You have no way of ever getting those guns back if you don't have your serial numbers memorized or at least written down or at least memorized.
Fuck, I got a shotgun that's sold. I have serial number on it.
I've got a chart that's got the date that I bought it, the everything, who I bought it from, what, serial number, model of the gun, date of, all that stuff. I got all that on charts and records.
Why would I be
I will
worried
not
about
sell the gun.
I lost a gun once. I put my shotgun on my back bumper of the truck. I was gonna go dove hunting after work, so I'm getting ready to go to work, load up my tools in the truck. I have my shotgun on the back bumper, and I fucking drive away. And I know that gun fell off probably somewhere on my street, Whatever, it's a $200 shotgun.
Now let's see.
The top's over $200. Whoever got that gun fucking deserved it. They picked it up off the side of the road. Maybe they called the cops and turned it in. Maybe they just fucking kept it. I would have kept it if it was me, because I know there's no registry.
Yeah, but what if a little kid found it and shot somebody? How are they going to track who's responsible? Who was you, Justin?
No, the little kid's responsible for shooting somebody.
I'm responsible for someone else's kid.
Just a little kid. Just a little kid.
Yeah, who's letting their little kid run around in the streets unattended, like getting a hold of shotguns?
Right. that goes back to, are the parents or the kid responsible to...
I send my kids outside all the time. You fucking
Now,
kidding me?
How old are your kids?
Play.
How old are your kids?
10 and 8.
Then they're old enough to understand that if they find a gun, that they need to come tell you immediately. If you haven't banged that into their head, that's your own fault.
And I didn't have any ammo with it
house.
either. It was just a shotgun unloaded. I mean, they might have fucking hit each other with it, but they weren't going to shoot anybody. So
I grew up in a house with, let me see, well, I'm one of 6, but there was, let me see, 1, 2, 3 handguns and a bunch of rifles and a couple of shotguns. Okay. And my grandfather, he didn't believe in, you didn't lock them up, you didn't put trigger locks on them, you didn't separate ammo from fucking any of that bullshit. He'd take them and put them up in his car, just put them in the rack, loaded. We got to a certain age. We were all brought in that room, and we were all told, you come in here without one of us, you'll suffer a huge consequence. I had parties in there, fucking everything. Not one person, and my friends knew they were there. Not one person ever went in that fucking room. You just didn't do it. You know what I mean? So like I teach my girls here, and my son. My son gets mad at me because I won't let him take the fucking Pelican when I'm not home.
My daughter's 6, and for like 2 months every day I was like, what do you do when you see a gun? She's like, tell you, do you touch guns? No. And I did that from she was 4 to now. Yeah. And I started shitting out. My brother's got a concealed carry, so he's always got his gun. A few times I have him just set it down, see what she does. And we're watching. We're not leaving her alone with it. But she'll be like, Uncle Jake, why's your gun on the table? She calls him out on it. And it's like, oh goodness.
Yeah. No, it's all in education.
People seem to forget, like, we got stupid kids now, but people seem to forget your job when you have a kid is to make that kid better than you. And people seem to forget that nowadays, and I don't understand that. Like, this is my first kid, she's 6 now, but every day I'm pushing, like, hey, you need to know this. Like, she the other day, when it's crazy, she asks the weirdest stuff, like, how does the roof stay up on the house? And I was like, holy shit, how do I explain that to a 6-year-old? I was like, well, we got load-bearing walls, and I was like, wow.
My daughter actually asked me about how they build a house. She didn't ask me about how they hold the roof up. She asked me how they build the house. And I just drew her a picture.
Yeah.
From the foundation to the, skeleton, obviously. From the foundation to the walls to the roof.
We harnessed the power of many Mexicans over the span of history.
Right.
I went through the paces. Like, my kid knows how radio waves work because I was studying for a ham radio test, and she was asking me about the pictures I was looking at. So I explained to her how it works and how line of sight works, and she retained that from when she was 4 to today, because I'll ask her every once in a while, and it is nuts how smart these kids are. But somehow parents let their kids get retarded. Like, I don't understand that. I mean, granted, I'm a first-time parent, so I don't know if later on down the road she's gonna get dumbed in the IQ or what. But
No, I mean, I think they stay. I either think they. I don't think they ever regress. You know, I think it's always there. It's whether they choose to use it or not. Now that's a different story.
yeah, well, yeah, I mean, I went through that stage. Yeah.
You know, I mean, we all know what Like when I grew up in the '80s. I don't know when you guys all grew up, but I grew up in the '80s, and it was a different time. You know, you can do different things, and it wasn't. You know,
Bad music decade.
yeah. I could be 15 years old and date a 19-year-old without going to jail.
I don't know, man. I'd argue that the 80s
I
was
could be a
probably some of the
19-year-old date a
worst and
16-year-old
best.
without going to jail. You know what I'm saying here? Smoking. You take fucking have a cigarette, for Christ's sake. You can have a cigarette. You're smoking a fucking movie theater without an issue. It was just so much different, so much better back then.
Here in Michigan, you can't smoke within 20 feet of a public entrance of a building now, and you can't smoke on public land. You can't smoke in bars.
Yep. That's all I heard.
Really? I thought we were the only ones on that one. I was like,
No.
you go to a fucking bar, you're supposed to expect some smoke.
And
Yeah,
here's
that's
what
here
kills
too.
me, right?
I
Is-
do love that though. The whole like you can't smoke on public land, but it's like, okay, who's gonna enforce that? It's like, oh, we're gonna run down from the goddamn tree and stop
Let me
him
drop
from
my-
his fucking cigarette.
Let me drive my four-wheel drive truck with the V8 engine, check out those emissions, but I can't smoke this fucking cigarette.
I like the fact that you can't smoke in a bar, and people are like, well, it's for people's health. Well, if you're in a fucking bar, you ain't worried about your health.
Right.
You know?
I can't smoke this cigarette in the bar, but I'm gonna go blow a line of coke off the goddamn urinal here in a minute.
Off the stripper's ass. Yeah.
I could understand, like, if they were like, look, you can't smoke at the Walmart entrance. As a smoker, fine, I don't need to fucking smoke there. Okay, whatever, you know. But a bar? What the fuck?
I just don't see why the government needs to mandate it. It should be up to the private business whether or
Well,
not.
I'm
smoke
there
in
with you. I'm
goddamn
just saying
business,
I could
you know?
understand.
If a private business on their private property doesn't want me smoking in their doorway, that's their prerogative. That's their choice. It shouldn't be up
Well,
to
it's
the
awesome.
government to come in and decide whether or not private businesses should or should not. You know.
And here's what kills me around here in Massachusetts, right? So I don't know if you guys are familiar with any part of Massachusetts or like Harvard. You guys heard of Harvard in Massachusetts? So the city that's in the city of Cambridge. In the city of Cambridge, you can be anything you want. Okay, you can be anything. You can dress up any way you want. You can do anything you want. They're so liberal there in that city. You can do anything.
Except for be a Christian right-wing
Or
conservative.
smoke. Or smoke. And I'm like, I'm in the truck. I get out of the truck and I'm having a cigarette inside the fucking box of my truck. And the fucking meter maid come walking by and she says to me, she says, hey, you got to put that cigarette out. I says, no, I don't. And she says, excuse me? She says, you need to put that cigarette out. I says, why is that? Is there a gas leak somewhere? She says, no. I says, then why would I need to put my cigarette out? And she says, well, you're in the city of Cambridge and you can't smoke in the city of Cambridge on a public or whatever the hell it was because I was parked on the sidewalk. I goes, I'm not. I'm inside the fucking truck. I said, so I'm not on your fucking public fucking way, you know? And she starts fucking yelling at me. I said, well, I'll tell you what. I said, tell you what you can do.
Suck my
I
dick
says, you can,
because all she has power over is fucking parking. I would have fucking.
yeah, well, that's what I told her. I says, take one of your parking tickets and write me out a ticket for smoking and have yourself a great day. Well, I might have to call the police. I says, I don't give a shit who you call. By the time you do that, I'll be gone anyways.
Well, the cigarette will be gone.
Yeah. I said, I'm like, really? I had the same thing in the hospital. I was in a hospital in the parking garage. In a parking garage in a fucking hospital. Sitting in my car. And the hospital cop come over and knocked on the window. Now, my kid's really sick at the time, right? So he knocks on my window. And I go, what? And he says, put your cigarette out, please. There's no smoking on this hospital campus. I says, dude, I'm inside my car, inside a parking garage. I am nowhere near a fucking doorway, window, anything near that fucking hospital. I said, leave me the fuck alone. And I rolled up the window. So when I get done with my cigarette, he's still fucking standing there. So I go trying to walk back in the emergency room and see my kid, and he's fucking yapping in my ear the whole fucking way. So finally I fucking turned to him. I said, listen to me closely. I says, I got a little kid in here, pretty fucking sick. I go, either shit or get off the pot. Write me out some fucking foolish ticket, arrest me, do something, but shut the fuck up and let me be on my way. No shit. I'm in the emergency room with my kid, and what happens? The fucking low police come in, and they wrote me out a ticket for $25 for smoking in the fucking hospital grounds.
Oh shit! They don't really enforce it here. My wife saw a nurse at the hospital, and when you go up there, the security guard will ask you. He's like, "Dude, can you just get close to the curb?" But if you say no, like, "Nah, I gotta stay close" or something, they'll be like, "All right, just try to hide it." That's my experience. I've been up there quite a bit, but most of the time they don't give a shit. The security guard hates his job for that.
Let me ask you this: do you consider that man, that police officer, that took the word of a private security guard as reason enough to walk into a hospital and take you away from your sick child, do you consider that a good person? Do you consider that a good cop?
Oh, hell no. And I was laughing when the cop came in, and he, he's looking at me, and I'm like, I can't believe this fucking idiot actually called you. And he says, well, you don't have rules and regulations. I really don't give a shit. I got a very, very seriously sick kid right here. And I said, so I went out to have a fucking cigarette to calm my fucking nerves. I said, so, you know what?
Well, first off, you never should have admitted it. You should have fucking ruined that security guard's fucking Wednesday afternoon by making him show up in court to testify against you.
I mean, really. Because I didn't care at that point in time, Justin. I wasn't even thinking. All I wanted was a fucking cigarette and my kid to get better.
Yeah, but if smoking was illegal, you should have followed the law and not smoked.
You're right. I should have. When in Rome. But
See, you just contradict yourself. All the hell tonight, Mike.
Right? No.
Yeah, when in Rome, do as the Romans do, nail Jesus to a cross, and with that, I am out of here. Later, guys.
Later, Justin.
No,
yeah,
but,
I'm about to head out of here myself.
Yeah, it's getting late. We'll probably just close it at 4 o'clock and call it a day.
Sounds good.
But, yeah, give me $25. I says, where do I pay this? I says, not that I'm going to pay it, but where would I pay it if I pay it? So I put it in the wife's fucking dresser drawer, and I said, hey, you take care of it.
One thing, we went and fought a couple tickets. Like, I'm a stay-home dad, so I got all the time in the world, so I'll fuck with cops. I'll see you in court. I fought a couple tickets here because if you get on my street, and I live in town now, but I used to live in the sticks. But on my street, you can't park on the opposite side of the road. There's no parking because we have the garbage truck with the big arm that grabs the garbage cans and dumps in the back. But we get a $5 ticket if you're parked on the wrong side of the street. And everybody looks at it and goes, well, I don't want to pay this fucking $5 ticket, but if I do, you get a bench for it and shit. And so you got to go up there and write them a check or give them $5. Like, here you go. So I fight the sons of bitches. I'm like, no, you can get my $5.
Yep.
Yep, you got to make it cost more money to prosecute you than they'll start thinking twice about enforcing it. If everyone did it and they realized that every time they wrote one of these tickets, they were losing $300 in like court fees. It's just...
I think I've been pulled over twice by State Patrol because I've been clocked by the airplane, and then the patrolman on the ground writes you the ticket. Go to court on that shit because the pilot never shows up. The trooper that writes you the ticket shows up, but then the trooper that was in the plane, they never show up because they make a lot more money, so they're those pilots, So they never show up to court because they think, oh, you're just going to pay the ticket. If you fight that ticket, if you were clocked by the plane, the officer that wrote you the ticket on the ground wasn't the one that witnessed you speeding, so therefore his testimony doesn't count.
Hey, I got a question. Who's that guy with the green hat having a cigarette that I sent 3 invitations to 4 hours ago?
That guy just woke up.
You come in for 4 hours of a chat. You come for the last 4 minutes.
Hey, better late than never, brother.
Hey, I fall asleep. Ask for Ohio. Ohio will tell you.
Well, I work midnights, man.
I know you do.
know,
I know.
crazy hours.
Yep. I used to work those hours. I used to love working nights. I used to work 11 to 7 Sunday through Thursday, and then I got married and had kids, and I left 11 to 7. I just can't do it with the kids. I don't know how my wife does it. My wife works 11. I just don't know how the hell she does it.
You know, I'll tell you what. When I was in college, I could do midnights without a hitch. And you're right. With kids, you know, you can't because you can't sleep during the day. Because, you know, they're coming home from school, they're doing this or doing that, and you're constantly hearing noise, you're constantly getting disturbed, you're constantly getting woken up.
Yep. I remember
You know, so
my dad.
anyway.
My dad used to work nights. And
You out of here, Will?
Yeah, I gotta work today. So.
All right, man.
All right, later.
Good night, man.
Hey, take care, Will.
Thanks for the invite.
You're welcome. Anytime, brother. You know
Anytime.
Bye.
So my dad used to work nights too, and he got sick of it because, like, in the springtime, we'd all be out in the street on our fucking big wheels or whatever. He called every fucking kid in the neighborhood over to my house. We all show up on our fucking big wheels, or if we put, you know, the fucking cards in our spokes or whatever.
Right.
He took his fucking buck knife out and he fucking chopped off every fucking flag off the big wheel, every fucking thing off the fucking. He's okay, go have fun. And every fucking parent in the neighborhood fucking thanked him up and down.
Hey, I can relate, man. I'll tell you what. My dogs, I got 3 of them, you know, and you know, I got a coon hound, I got a shepherd husky mix, and kind of a runt dog. But man, that coon hound, when he starts barking, the husky starts going ooh, you know, and then he starts going ooh, and the runt doesn't know what to do, so she starts doing it. Imagine 3 dogs howling for no reason at all. And, you know, and imagine trying to sleep to that, you know? Crazy. So, I don't know. I gotta get off midnight soon, man. That's all I gotta tell you.
I'm trying to get on 4 to 12 or 3 to 11. I'm trying to do second shift.
Yeah. Well, my shift is 9 to 7 in the morning.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it's a 10-hour.
Yeah, that's a kind of fucked up early time to go in too. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's that shift, and the other shift is 7 p.m. to 5 in the morning, which I thought might have been better, and I tried it out, and it's actually worse.
Yeah.
So.
But I'm trying to get on. I'm trying to get on nights so I can fucking go hunting every fucking day of the week.
Yeah. Well,
that doesn't work, dude. I've been on nights for years. That don't work. Your ass is too tired to go hunting in the morning. I work 7P to 7. I work 7P to 7A though.
No, I used to. I'm just talking about working 4 to midnight or something. You know, then you're up until fucking 3. You sleep, you get up, and you go. You know.
Yeah.
Well, right. It's 4 o'clock. You wanna?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So we're gonna get out of here. And I know I didn't get out in the chat room a lot tonight and say thank you. I know I only did it like once, and I know that Ohio did the rundown. There was a bunch of people in here tonight, Ohio. We almost hit 40 again. That's freaking awesome. I'd like to thank everybody for your continuous support of this channel, this chat. It's awesome. Thanks a million, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks. And thanks to everybody that came on the panel tonight. Appreciate that a lot. It was a lot of fun. You know, we had a, you know, hey, it was my idea. I told Ohio last night, I said, I want to do this. And he said, okay, because he knew it was coming, but we did it anyway. And I didn't think it was that bad, Ohio. But anyways, thanks a million for coming. And we'll see you all next time.
On the Quagmire, which you forgot to name just the Quagmire.
Oh, who named it the Quagmire anyway?
Well, I named the chat the Quagmire, but I'm saying you named this Coptalk and a shout out to our friend NC Digger, which we only did once. So a shout out to NC Digger again.
Yeah, and I did send him an invite, and he did tell me that he was, he didn't want to, and that's fine. I understood, but I just wanted to let him know that we're here thinking about him. And to be honest with you, I really never expected the crop talk to go as long as it did. So, and then of course when Justin came on, I knew it would. So,
yeah. Real quick, since if we're going to be off for a little bit, send Oily a link real quick, and then we'll go off.
What's that?
Send Oily Prepper a link real quick, then we'll go off.
Already sent her one.
Okay.
All right. So, good night, everybody. Thanks a million. Appreciate it, and we'll see you all later.